Third time's the charm. Let's go. As you see, the name of this episode has Joe Hardcore on it. The wise, stoic, experienced Joseph McKay. Appreciate him taking the time to come and do my podcast again. When I first started this 5 years ago, he was a big guest for me. We talked about hardcores right near the end of COVID. A lot has changed since then. In the past 5 years, when we were doing the podcast, shit was pretty much shut down. Maybe there was one show that they had played. We talked about it in the episode, but so I was thinking of this episode more of like a 5-year catch up. Where has hardcore gone in 5 years? What has happened? Who's blown up? Who's come back? And how bad is it? Well, it's not bad. Big things have happened. Big names have came back. Other crazy shit's happened. It's on the up and up still. It seems like shit's crazy, but yeah, when we did our first podcast, I didn't have this expectation for hardcore as a whole to be what it is today, and to hear his perspective, because he's, been going to shows since 95, 96, whatever, so, and he's been fucking balls deep since. It's fun to hear his perspective, and more so even get his perspective on the evolution of Shattered Realm in the past fucking 5 years. I booked them September of 2021, I believe. They've done a few shows here and there, but the past few years they've been ripping and rolling and just doing bigger and bigger things, being invited to the big dance, as he put it. So I'm proud of the band. I'm proud to see that happen, and especially with Joe as the front man, even through all the years of the bullshit and drama, he's carried it the most, so fuck it. You know how much I love Shattered Realm? I got a Shattered Realm tattoo last week. I got a skull with 2 daggers going through the top of it. And it says, "This world is mine." My world is mine, not your world. Your world is yours, but my world is mine. So, yeah, that's just all the love for Shattered Realm, all the love for Joe Hardcore. I just want to thank him now because I have another few things I want to talk about. But big shout out to him. Appreciate him and all his wise and kind words and everything he has to share, because he's fucking dude's an encyclopedia, an almanac, a dictionary. He's everything. And I don't know how else to put it, man. It was cool. But big shout out to DHC Podcast, and another local Detroit hardcore podcast. If you're checking this out from out of the area and you may be unaware, you shouldn't be. They're fucking awesome guys. They've been having some cool guests lately, and as they've said, they are going to have a few more. And I honestly, I have to give this episode to them, because they really, really made me get off my ass and fucking do something with the podcast I do. I haven't done it in a few months. I could do it more. I should do it more. I love doing it. But thanks to them and them getting me excited, hearing what they're talking about, and they're getting excited with who they have on the other day, Mike Moynihan and Harold from Total Supply and the band WMD. Check all that shit out. Just go to Total Supply on Instagram. Total Supply HQ, I think. They just had a sick show. They played young Liam from Refuge Skate Shop. Eric Z's son, he booked his first show with Home Invasion, Contempt, WMD, and this other new band, Courage, out of Detroit. They're young cats coming up. They just dropped a demo on Bandcamp. Check that out if you feel like it. Who else? What else is going on? There's a Total Supply showcase at Refuge next Saturday or Sunday. I believe it's Sunday. Hold on, let me pull up that fucking flyer. It's Face the Pain. Face the fucking Pain. Jack's Record Stash and Total Supply both present Total Supply Live. It's a matinee. Doors are at 2 o'clock, I believe, so fucking get there. It's Face the Pain, Statement of Pride, Everybody Takes One, joined by the Sissy Boys and Pluto's Kiss. 2 very sick bands, 5 sick bands in fucking Refuge. Get there early. Earlier than the show already is. It's going to be a fun one. Face the Pain. What else? Cold as Life is going to be in New York this weekend for another, all you out-of-town listeners, you East Coast motherfuckers, New York motherfuckers. Go to Brooklyn Saturday. It's Gridiron, Cold as Life, Sworn Enemy, Hangman, and this Ferment is the other band. There might be one other one. If I'm leaving it out, my bad. It's a hell of a show. It's a fucking legendary show, honestly, and it's one for the times. It's gonna be great. So go to that show. I will be there, and if you're there, hit me up. Let's hang out. Smoke one, drink one, fucking mosh, whatever. It's gonna be a good fucking time. But anyway, once again, Joe is a good fucking guest. It's like you just ask him a question and press play, and the motherfucker goes for 35 minutes or 45 minutes, and very, very great guest. I do appreciate it. I have to do way less talking or try to carry the conversation. He fucking rules. Yeah. So shout out to him. Shout out to Shattered Realm and Bayway, because it's the Bay Realm motherfucking concoction. So fuck with it. Go check them all out. They're both going to be at Tie Down, so let's go. Have a good time. Support everything in your local scene and every other scene that you feel like supporting. This shit, I'm excited for this one. Y'all have fun. Thank you for listening, and share the episode if you so feel like it. Thank you. It's been a while. You were one of my first few guests to come on here just about 5 years ago, so I'm really glad you take the time again. And lots to catch up on. Lots has changed, and even bigger things with you and like Shattered Realm. It seems things are really taking off at this era of Shattered Realm. Seem to be doing a lot, man. It's cool.
What freaks me out is it's been 5 years.
It is crazy, right?
I feel like somehow we just post-COVID days and hours and everything's just time-wise flies. Like I acknowledge it's a different year, but it doesn't feel as like what 5 years I think felt like many years ago.
Dude, you're right. It seems like there's some sort of weird like time warp after COVID to where things were just like, especially in hardcore, I guess, if we're gonna stand that topic, it seems it's been like thrusted into like another atmosphere or something with active as everybody is, and how popular it is right now, and it's been since shit opened back up, and even older bands are coming back and doing better than they have in the 90s, early 2000s, and a lot of people participating, and it seems to be in a really good spot still. It hasn't evened out, especially over here. It just seems to keep going up. At the same observation for you as well?
I mean, 1995 to 2000 felt like an eon. And then 2000 to 05 flew by. But then 2005 to 10 also felt like an eon. And then it just feels like, especially in the since the COVID stuff, everything just moves faster. I don't know if they're stealing, maybe they're stealing hours from us when we're sleeping. I don't know what it is, but I just acknowledged, because I'd said, yeah, it was a bit ago. It wasn't that long ago when we were able to go back and start doing shows. We talked about the first shows back and such. And I'm like, fuck, 5 years already? What the fuck happened there? Like, fucking stole time from us. For Shattered Realm's sake, obviously, I'm 99% sure, you could correct me, but that Detroit show was in September-ish of 99, or not 99. That show we played where we did Gary for On Shit, and then we played Detroit. That doesn't feel like 5 years ago to me. Just pragmatically, to me, I don't. I exist in whatever. Yeah, it's March 1st, 2026, but that feels like 2-3 years ago at best. So it's time's flow. You know, hardcore is where depends on who you are, what circles you're rolling in, what you're acknowledging, what you're ignorant of. Things are great, things are stagnant. It shifts. For what happened with Shattered Realm, for me, in my private perspective, was that we did a couple shows, and I definitely remember feeling like, well, you know, if we get the right guys, maybe we can write stuff, and that still holds true. COVID, we were one of the only bands that played, period, during COVID, because Pittsburgh county around Pittsburgh, they were like, "Nah, we're good. You guys can go." So, my it was super funny. It was like we decided just to travel across the entire state of Pennsylvania. No, and you know, this is bizarre because you're looking back, like it wasn't exactly a crime, but who knows? Different counties in Pennsylvania, like which one's going to be like? Hey, I mean, because when this all started, like, for me, this all started the last week I was working at a hospital where we had been instructed on all the different problems that can come from COVID, to showing up to work at the nuclear plant. My entire adjustment to COVID was several health professionals and actual like state professionals giving us COVID like hour classes on everything. And so I came out of it concerned, but needed to still go to work and do shit. And for a minute, I worked on a house with Hard Carl, who's one of the greatest unsung heroes of hardcore period. Bob Wilson, the Young Turk, and for a friend of ours, and shenanigans. Everything about the house and working on the house and trying to build this house was shenanigans. And then I jumped back into my union job, and then I just felt weird because we're wearing masks for no reason. But we do this show and with two of the guys from Pittsburgh. Actually, maybe even three guys from Pittsburgh, in fact, if I'm thinking about it. And it cracked me up because in my head, I'm like thinking like, all right, this is either the cops are going to come or this isn't going to be a problem. But in typical AJ status, AJ from Preserving, this is the precursor to Preserving Underground, the big church. This is like the first venue we played, and then he moved the record store to the venue, which would eventually be the big Preserving Underground. And yeah, it was fucking hilarious. And kids were beating the shit out of each other, and it was fucking fantastic. And then we get home, and at the time I was almost ready to do I was ready to do a show pretty soon, but you know, it takes a while. So maybe it's that. But then eventually we go to Gary. We play Gary, and then we play in Detroit. And at that point, I didn't know what else we could do. Not just playing, but like, what are we supposed to do? But during COVID, a guy who went from not obscurity, but you had to know, to absolute just ubiquitous all over the internet and real life, J-Way comes into play with Bayway. And in this, not only just like we immediately struck it off well, we played the Bulldoze benefit, these kind of things. At a Lord Stuckey show, I go up to hang out, and J-Way told me in the phone, he said, I wrote songs that are too Shattered Realm for Bayway. We sat in his car. And if we just sat in his car, it would be one way, but he has like that fucking screen the size of my computer with all these crazy lights. And he starts playing me songs we still haven't recorded yet. And I was both visually just mind blown that he has a crazy screen that has like the charts and all this crazy shit. But the songs were unbelievable. And at that point, we had guys who could play, obviously on shit and stuff like that. And, you know, but they weren't writing like they were in the, like they were in the margin, but they weren't on the dead target. They weren't the bullseye. And I never wanted to record something that didn't immediately fill the void where Shadow Realm music had filled it. And so what happens is, um, with having on shit means flying them in from Chicago, and I know bands love to do that, but that's just logistically, it's not smart. And I had guys from here. Actually, Will was probably one of the better of all the guitar players we had from here, but he had difficult family struggles, and is actually terrific guy, insanely terrific guy. But he couldn't follow through, and that's understandable. I get it. Will Schaefer, really talented, played in a bunch of Pennsylvania bands.
Cool.
So what happens is, I'm trying to do this in the right organized way. Kane, who's in a million bands, and we just played with him in Columbia, South Carolina. He has a band called Gun to God's Head, and that was pretty ridiculous. We had a minute where Kane was trying to bring out some riffs, and it's not a diss. It's just like, when you know, you know. If you don't know, then you could be the guy who takes a record in a different way, and Shattered Realm could be seen in a different function if we didn't do it this way. And that's why I want to painstakingly slow my thoughts down so that way I can explain it easier to everybody. It's like, without the people who really could harness what Shattered Realm is sonically to the fans is much more important, because we could, like, it's proven through history. You see a band that rips 3 records later, they're just doing something different, and the people go, "What the fuck?" And we're on this ominous 3rd record if we really want to get down to it. It's like the unknown of unknowns of what the Shattered Realm stuff will sound like in the first place. And then, like, because we're going from playing a couple fests, Shattered Realm had played as Shattered Realm. The earliest one was Tsunami in 2018. And then, something like that. I believe it was that, because that's when Knocked Loose played. And I always make the joke that Shattered Realm was the last band to play after Knocked Loose, and the entire room didn't empty after Knocked Loose. But as a whole, that also, it might have been 17, because I believe they played the 18. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. Yeah, Knocked Loose played 18. So the show was in 17. We play that show, and I was hoping Fat Pat somehow came about 4 hours after the set to hang out at that Tsunami, but we were hoping Fat Pat will come up. But the whole time, people are going to write new music. I don't write music. Like, at this stage of the game, I knew we had to have a really good song, or really good songs, or a really good record, some innovative form of that. So we go ahead, and I have this conversation with Jay. He jumps on, and then, little by little, we play a show together in North Carolina, the first Overcome Fest. At least I believe it's the first one. Bayway, Shattered Realm, Haywire, I think Incendiary, yeah, a bunch of, and we're still hanging out. And then after the fact, more and more towards the next Tsunami, it was getting to the point where, like, some of the members couldn't play everything, like physically couldn't play everything, or just time-wise they couldn't travel. And so at some point, Jay and I had this, like, real life conversation, and this leads up to Overcome, where he's like, "Hey man, like, I know you guys, want to do this, but I've already got a whole fucking band." And now there's a whole fucking band. Like them random, you guys have them, we have them, these random commercial lanes we just drive, and there's these small little buildings, and you don't think much of them. Like, in that weird small little building in New Jersey, he has a whole fucking part of his company that he runs, Witch Baby Soaps, with his wife, and they've been doing that for years, is Bayway Studios, is Bayway's, like, compound, Bayway Records, and he does everything from that thing. And it reminds me of The Cold is Life headquarters many years ago when Punishment went out there and during the WTO riots, we played for the guys in fucking Cold as Life.
So
So
cool.
what happens is he hits me with, we can be most of the band, and we had Tony Ortlano for a long time with the bass, and he was one of the guys who, when I started doing this, was with me. He even played in when we went to UK to help out Mog and Martine because they had a tour, they had a little fest they did. But Overcome Fest was the first time most of Bayway was in Shadow Realm, and then because of the travel and the stuff that we've done in the last year, Tony, just because of work and the limitations of what he's able to take off, before Christmas, we never would have said, "Hey, we don't want you" or something like that. But at some point, it just was pragmatically, "Hey, man, like I'm missing stuff. I can't do everything, so I gotta, I'm gonna exit so that way, you know." And what it comes down to is we started playing shows further away. Tony can't travel, so then we had to get a bass player, Diego, who is in both Bayway and Shadow Realm. In fact, for the audience listening to this, everybody in Bayway plays in Shadow Realm. Everybody. So Bayway and Shadow Realm being able to tour is basically me hanging out with Bayway. So it's two bands in one van. And that's how the last tour just went. But Tony did the big show that we did with the full record, had from the Broken Ties, Spoken Lies anniversary reissue. We did that at This Is Hardcore at the Underground Arts last summer. And after that, it's just been this current form of Bayway, which we now just have amalgamated to the Bay Realm Supremacy. And that's it. That's where Shadow Realm's at, where we go from hodgepodge members just playing some random shows. Tony and I go to England one time. We play the last Tsunami that they had. There's a show they named Tsunami. And then we played This Is Hardcore. And then, just because of the fact that J-Way not only was in Years Spent Cold and was around in New Jersey hardcore for a long time, he's just musically gifted enough to figure out a way to pull from the mother's tit resources and bring the band's sound directly back to what the people wanted to hear. And the reason why I bring that up is because, we have the Broken Ties reissue, but also, this year, would be 20 years of Dead End Blocks. And
I can't believe it's been that long for that too.
And when we do Dead End Blocks, the former band, I have a band from when I was a kid, and no one knows it unless you're from Philadelphia. But I'm unearthing it this year. I'm going to put the videos up. Everyone's going to laugh and dunk, and then there's going to be pictures forever of it, and it's going to be funny or no one's going to give a fuck. But I played bass in that band. And I have amazing long hair and terrible wardrobe choices. But what happens is, in the history of me being in bands, I've never composed an entire song. I don't even know if I've ever given any real true input in me picking up an instrument and go check this riff out. It's never happened. but when Shadow Realm Dead End Blocks comes out, because I'm the new singer, right? I'm the new singer. And at this point in time, there's now been the original there's Chris Collins, and he left once he felt the band was getting too metal. Then there was Chris Rafalowicz, Big Chris, he's been in a bunch of bands, but his latest band is Blackest Dawn, named after the song Blackest Dawn. And then I turned down doing Shadow Realm in 2003 because Punishment's van caught on fire. I mean, to drive all the way home from a friend with my kid's mother, driving with two of my friends from Philadelphia to California to pick us up. And then they were like, "Do you want to go on tour?" I'm like, "No, I'm not touring." And then the next year after, they had asked again, "Hey, do you want to go on tour? Paul can't do this tour." I'm like, "Fuck it, I'll be in the band." So you got Chris 1, Chris 2, Paul, and now me. in Shattered Realm as the singers. So I've never wrote a song. I have input like, oh, that part sounds cool. That's about it. I ain't gonna go, this is C minor, not this, you fucking loser. You know, I'm not doing that. But we do this Dead in Blocks, and we're excited about it. And you would have thought by some of the critique is like, oh, once Joe got in the band, he just changed everything. It's like I didn't fucking change a thing. These motherfuckers wrote this shit. So going into,
I don't know.
yeah, it fucking showed up, motherfucker. Like, you know, like, and actually, tidbit, J-Way was in the studio when we recorded Dead in Blocks, just hanging out, guest vocals, fly on the wall type of deal, because he was boys with cuts from Years Spent Cold.
Excuse me.
And well, yeah, like if you at the time, which is now long, you would have thought that me doing Dead in Blocks, I changed the entire musical content of Shadow Realm. So that's the background, right? If I didn't tell you all this, you may not, if those listening, like, why the fuck is he taking his time? It's to explain this in full detail. The shit that J-Way wrote is insane. The shit that he has in these computer files is actually more retarded. And to the point where we were driving from one part of Florida back up to the next show, that he forgot where he put those files, but I had them in an email. So then everybody in the vehicle listened to it, and we're all like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah!" And they're mostly songs. They're not 100% completely done songs, but they're mostly done. They're mostly done. Not to go in there, they might tweak some stuff, add some whams and all those stuff that guitar players do and shit. And then obviously vocals.
I love those.
Yeah, like those things. At some point, we're gonna. That's the basis of the stuff. Is the stuff that he wrote and has been sitting. But it's tenuous because again, we do the first thing we actually do, and I skipped over because it's like less important in that regard, is that J-Way puts out, you know, The Scar is Born from Lesson Learned. And we have 2 songs on that. And just recently, as we were doing these runs, kids have been like, why aren't you playing Strong Hands? And I knew at that recent point that, like, okay, people are listening to this now. So to bring everybody back up to speed, Shattered Realm went from not just playing locally or hey friends play or hey you want to do this to we played a Cold as Life reunion show, and that was fucking fantastic. That's probably that was the first really big show that we played with the band. And for me, because I spent years not playing shows and just booking shows and being a promoter and in the production or whatever in the world of being around but not really on the stage, I just played with not only so many of my like really awesome friends, but like I played in front of my boy Dwid and a bunch of dudes who I think are fucking great. And you know, it's a weird thing for me because I was at Punishment and whatever else. Like even in Shadow Realm, we weren't really in the modern zeitgeist to get invited to some of these things, with the exception of the Jersey Hellfest, which they told me I was playing, and then when we got back to Philadelphia, they're like, "Nah, that's gonna be Paul's last show." So I didn't even play the '04 Hellfest. So you know, like I really never had that moment with Shattered Realm to be like play. Unless you want to call it like Pressure Fest, but that's a big European fest. And that's not like mostly all American bands, so it's a little bit different. But playing the Detroit thing was a little weird when like you're just hanging out, and then dudes who bands you love are like, dude, I never seen you play before, and I had like yeah, you're right. When the fuck did I play with half of these bands? You know, like it's a weird thing. So we have this EP. It's got a really heavy song that we start everything off with now, which is Point of No Return, with the cool little Rome. What do you call that? Like, what would you even call that? I guess it's just like a sound clip from the TV show Rome.
Yeah, like a sample, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, sample. That's the word. Rob with the word sample.
The word.
Yeah, we play this. We play the sample.
Heavy fucking you know, I can't even think of the word. Language when you have a lot of words. What's that? See, I got nothing. I'm retarded.
Yeah, I yeah, the whole point of that is Point of No Return was the very first new song by Shattered Realm. Um, if you want to get really into it, uh, there's the whole thing about not allowing Roman armies to enter the city of Rome, and Julius Caesar doing so, and him saying "Ala ecta est," the die is cast, and kind of basically saying like legally, no army was allowed to cross a river, a bridge over the river, and bring an army into the city. You know, like, hey, you're our army, but you better stay on that side.
Yeah.
And Caesar's like, nah, fuck that. I'm not listening to these guys. I'm gonna do what I want. And that's kind of like a metaphor for the new Shadowrun was like going forward, recording new music, releasing more music. You know, that's the path we took, the path of no return. That's why that's the first song. And we added a new recording of This World Is Mine, courtesy of the Bayway Studios, which I think the production, it feels like a 40-year like technology gap from if you listen to the first Broken Ties and then you hear how crisp and sound like awesome the recordings is. So it's like it's like like this mic is probably better than any mic I ever sang on in a studio back then for Punishment or Shadow Realm. So the technology to record is so much different, and Jay-Way is just a fucking master of it. He's recorded a ton of bands with Bayway Records and his Bayway Studios, and so I'm actually really excited for the first time. And I fucking hate new songs because then you got to remember the words. Literally, you got to remember, yeah, like all the, and then it's one thing if you wrote one song a year, you just remember that song, but like you're gonna drop like 8 or 9 songs. You gotta fucking practice them live, and like in a real thing. And it's the nightmare of it. Like sometimes it'd be cooler just to be the bass guy because just playing a string, you're not. The voice is a different instrument. Timing is consistently all over the place. So I'm trying to worry about focusing on that when we get back and start doing shit. So it kind of brings me up to speed with Shadow Realm is that we are now a band that has done a crazy amount of shit. We just, to me, we played Hellfest Friday. Bayway played it Saturday. Then we played the big show with Kickback on Sunday. And I didn't know how to measure it. Then I still don't know how to measure it now. It's like a Cloud9 situation, which is weird because, yeah, like that was a week ago now. Like it's a week later. What the hell just happened there? Can you hear that?
Yeah, I hear you. Nothing happened though. I didn't hear nothing.
All right, cool. Yeah, like for me, there we go. See there.
I heard a click, but you sound better than you did a second ago. I don't know.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hold on.
Yeah, you're good.
I want to make sure. Is that better? Hold on. See what happens? Kids, don't take your podcast gear apart because then it doesn't fucking work the same way. I wanted to change the chords and shit, and now the one chord's way good.
Yeah, no, sounds great. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so we play again. It's weird. We play Hellfest West, and we have a ton of our friends on stage, peers, legends, heroes, and we play this set. And it feels like 10 minutes or 30 minutes. I can't remember. And it was awesome. Bayway has a phenomenal set in the small rooms. And then we played a club room with even more of our friends, like Jesse Link and Recon, and obviously Kickback headlined. And Yearspent Cole played with us. And it's really an interesting change. Like we were the band, that would go and play Altoona, Pennsylvania. Or maybe we come play Detroit or play Gary, Indiana. And in this mystical 5 years that just went by, now we're finally getting invited to these big dances. And just for clarity, I was invited to play Hellfest last year in New Jersey when it was called Hellfera, but I was injured and could not stand. So not standing is really hard to then singing. Though, if you saw the Hellfest videos, you can see I could probably have sat on the side of the stage and hopefully not get kicked in the face. So maybe someone should have told. But actually, my foot would have been hurt because people were kicking my fucking feet probably. But maybe it's a benefit that we didn't play it then because the show that we just did the last weekend might be my favorite show I may have ever played. Period. Like that was like just something that, like that was just something different. and that now kind of makes sense. I like putting fests on, I like putting shows on, but I never, from a performer or attendee style, never really felt the same way as I do now after we played. Like, oh, that was cathartic, like it felt good. And then to talk to people, and I watched it my whole life, and I watched it in these stupid church shows where a fucking drummer will sit there like a king on a throne, and people go up, walk up on stage and shake their hand and give him a banana, tie his shoelaces, whatever they do. And I just don't know how to do any of that. So I just go, hey man, thank you. Or like, oh, that shit was crazy. Or I don't actually remember it. And some of it I don't remember. But it's a bizarre, it's a bizarre juxtaposition being where at the same time that I've got the most not normal job, but like I've got the most steady job I've had. Um, Now that I'm like working with a bigger company and I'm their cement mason foreman. So I have like real life work. I'm not that I ever didn't have real life work situations, but usually um especially during the period during Shattered Realm, the very beginning, like the Primordial Soup. I That Friday I checked out of Marcus Hook Refinery, went to play the show, came home, went to sleep, went to work the next week, and nothing changed. But now it's like I've got to schedule everything that I do around my work schedule. In fact, I started the company right after we got done the weekend run. The last weekend we the last weekend run we did was not the very last weekend we did, but it was the last weekend of that time that we had something scheduled, so to speak. So we do this run in the Bay Realm van, and then come home, and the next day I'm just jumping immersing into a new job. And fuck, that's almost been 6 months later. Yeah, actually it's 5 months later where we're at. So again, that year just went by so fast. The half a year just went by so fast. So yeah, it's a lot going on, Rob. It's a lot going on. I like I appreciate you giving me the patience to explain the backstory, so that way people understand, and to summarize this in the AI form. We have completely changed. Oh my God! See this? What's going on here?
I don't know. I still
We completely have gotten to a point in the band where everything just works. We have a good system for everything. We've got a lot going in the direction of people asking us to play, which is very nice. And then the other half of it is making sure what we can do, I can balance with my work stuff. So that's where I'm at.
dude, it's awesome. And it just so happened I was fortunate enough to have a fire lit under my ass to do another episode. It's been a while, and when I watched your guys's, there was a YouTube video. The channel is Olive Oil. I never seen it before till the other day, but I think it was your Hellfest set on like a big ass stage, a tall ass stage. Was
Yeah.
that it? Yeah. And just to see first, you even mentioned it in the set. You talked about like the wall of people like in front of the stage that like normally isn't there, just kind of watching the band. And then even the reaction in like the pit and everybody singing along, just mad pylons to almost every song. Like Shattered Realm songs are now like anthems. Well, they've always been to me, but a lot more people, especially on the West Coast, are just like on top of you. Like you were down in the crowd, and to see it, it was like it's like you watched like a new, like a new leaf turnover, especially with the Bayway stage performance behind you, man. Jay Way and him walking around, yelling crazy shit behind
Ah,
you,
so good.
and just the whole like it's like a hype, like retarded fucking New Jersey Philly thing, and it works perfectly. And you said the years in between um the Dead End Blocks to the fucking ear, a couple of songs you guys just put out and re-recorded with like Jay Way's ear and like his like Jersey DNA, man. It really is exactly what it's supposed to be now. Everybody, as you stated, had mentioned how the Dead End Blocks one, they're what the fuck happened to music is so different, whatever. Not your fault, you didn't write it, but with Jay Way behind it, man, it's fucking perfect to me, and I'm really glad. that you guys dropped some new shit, re-recorded "This World Is Mine." Because you got the breakdown at the end finally. It's not on the fucking track after.
You know where that came. You know where that came from, right? Why that breakdown's not there?
Yeah. No, why? What happened? Yeah.
So I joined up with Shattered Realm, and then the following summer, we're at the point where we have to reissue the record, and that's where the orange artwork comes from.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually given to Joe Nunn by Eulogy Records, and when I looked at it, I was like, "What the fuck is this about?" I said, "I don't know. They're just giving it to us for free because it was for Bury Your Dead, but they didn't like the art." So like when people are like create the scenario that Shattered Realms, Broken Ties is synonymous with this like orange skull and dirt, it's like now let's throw away Bury Your Dead art that instead of the guy who created it for Eulogy not charging us and just like, hey, like Bury Your Dead doesn't want it, you can have it. They're like, now we're gonna charge him. We're not gonna charge you for the art because it's already made, but do you just want to use it for free? And Joe's like, it's kind of like that clip art, like, oh, it's free art, we'll take it, let's do it. And so he was also placed himself in charge of the mastering or checking, proofing the masters, as you would say, proofing the sound quality, any problems. But he had an old CD, like an old school CD, like one that was once very nice. It probably with the head unit and stuff, it's probably still like probably a nice way to let the tray come out. And you put the CD in, but he didn't monitor the end of the songs. And so he either fell asleep or he didn't pay much attention to it. So then what happens is when the CD comes to us, that thing's snipped out because somewhere along the line in the mastering, the master thought the end of the song was when it got quiet. And I think the reason is someone had said that even back then they were still using like whatever somewhat artificial is somehow some along the way, some computer format heard the silence and just assumed that was the end of the song and pre-cut it. And so in the social media world, when you get to Spotify and all this stuff, they're using the master from the original recording.
Yeah.
Now, the guy who plays I don't know who it is in Attila, someone from the band Attila bought the music catalog and Eulogy entirely. And so he owns it. Now that he owns it, Days and such got involved in the reissues. And so in the reissues, we redid and remastered. And so that's why if you buy the CD from Trustkill or Days, now that shit doesn't have it on it. It doesn't, they're trying to figure out a way, but it's kind of a pain in the ass apparently, to put the remastered version of Shattered Realms, Broken Ties on the Spotify without that problem. And then that's why the term, again, more of his proofreading, Jones was never Jones, or you say, but it's a J, but then someone has it as an I, and it's it. It's super funny that they're like, it's the last straw. It's always been the last straw.
Yeah.
It's an older song that they waited to put on the record as like a later track.
Ionis.
Yeah, Ionis.
What is this? I have no idea what. I've always wondered for the longest time about that too. I have no idea what that means.
No, it's just what happens when one guy in the band. Now, if two guys in the band checked it and both people fucked up, you could be like, "Ah, man, we really fucked up." But it's like the one guy synonymous for, well, I'm going to save this band, and it's my band. I'm going to make sure it's right, and it's just a great euphemism or explanation of the Joe Nunn era in purest form. Oh, the most important thing to make sure the master for the reissue is right. Yeah, you fucked it up. If anybody else fucked it up, you never hear the end of it. Art, free art instead of doing like art that could be meaningful or attached to our music. Sure. Now we'll just use this Bury Your Dead shit. They don't care. No one cares. And believe it or not, 20 years later, he's probably vindicated because more people know about that art than the first issue with the gray and the logo that I made for them, which was like that fiery thing that I did. They're like, "Yo, we need a logo," because Shattered Realm, Eric Cooper, his brother, being the guy from Clubber Lang, Eric was like a main part of the entire band, and he would hit me up for art things and stuff like that because I used to do dumb shit like that. But another tidbit, he actually sang "This World Is Mine" with us at the Tampa show this year. I hadn't seen him in almost 20 years. He's more so at the very beginning of that band. I mean, he got him on so many shows. Maybe not the world's greatest bass player, but probably their biggest reaching out to other people. This is even before Joe was in the band. He was the guy traveling all the time. He'd be in Long Island, he'd be in New York, he'd be in Connecticut, he'd be in Massachusetts. You know, when you're young and you're trying to push your band, you're going to go everywhere. Eric did that. And he has a huge, 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 huge hand in why Shattered Realm was early on the first generation of band was getting on things because he was tenacious and he got himself on some good shows. He was networking, and then the band got stolen from him. But it didn't matter because he's a father and happy as fucking Florida, and got on stage with us, and it was fucking fantastic. It's like and he was so psyched to see, just like what you just said, like we're playing in Tampa at a skate park, and it's a middle of the week show, and there's 300 something kids or more. Damn. And it was just fucking nuts. But again, it takes time, right? Like it doesn't just pop up like, oh, they're back, and like they're back and everything's great. It was the shows that we played just doing it, and the shows that we played locally, and me putting Shattered Realm on This Is Hardcore because fuck it, why not? It'll be funny. And then the video of the guy kicking me in the face, which that is the 2018 kicked me in the face, was pretty funny. All the things lead up to eventually in this modern zeitgeist post-COVID where kids had looked at the internet. There was interest in Shattered Realm, but without what we did where Shattered Realm is everybody from Bayway and me really does change the entire outcome because these guys are like legit players. And I mean, if I wake up, whether it's Airbnb or a van, someone's changing guitar strings and they're super professional, and Tito and Jay are editing videos that I watch. I have videos on my cell phone of them doing all those outtakes of Jay in that, like when Jay's doing his talking in the microphone for the next video.
Yeah.
So I have the video of Tito, Video, and Jay do these things at like 3 other places to catch them. I'm like, where are these pussies going? And I'll follow them and I'll video like, oh, there they are. I called them. But in the history of me being in a band, I've never been in a band where people wake up and they've got new ideas, or the first thing that comes out of their mouths when we start roping and rolling the van is like, yo, we got to think about this and this. They're just so fucking driven. And then that adds to how things roll. Like when you're in an energy where everyone's positive, there's no infighting in the van, and we're eating actually good food most of the time, and we're doing things right. It's like when you get right with the Lord, it's the same thing. Like the same principle. If you're on the right side of things, you're on the right side of the Lord, you're in the right side of your own mindset, everything good's going to come. And there's so much when the negativity's there, there's infighting, if there's money fighting, or there's, I think like just lack of respect for the ability and abundance given to you just to be able to say, hey, instead of going to work today, I'm going to go and travel and play shows for people. There's a spoiled bratness to it where, like when I talk to some guys in bands when they're just being kind and being like, yeah, that's a good. It's like, oh, just can't wait for this to be over. It's like, well, what else do you do? Like, I know there's guys who have wives and kids. Obviously, Jayway has a wife and a kid. But like some of the times I talk to band guys, they're happy to do it, but they always espouse some kind of like, oh man. And it's just like, which one do you want? None of this, that kind of threads into, oh my God. That kind of threads into the whole Strong Hand song, which we did, which now these kids are asking us to play it. Kids are, can you send me the one kid's like, I'm going to do a cover. Can you send me and it was never a throwaway song, but we're trying to play the old songs to the new kids because the new kids never saw us because they weren't alive. Which they weren't alive when we were playing. This is so crazy.
Isn't that nuts, man?
It's like, and they're not like 14-year-olds. It's like,
They're
all
like
right,
two. They're like, I was a
yeah,
baby. Yeah.
and like I got a fucking beard now, and I look like an old faggot, and I'm just an old man. I'm gonna get a fucking cane.
It's
Like
crazy.
such a bit. I like I never really look at videos or pictures unless it's like, oh, they had it like after the set that Friday night. Jay's like, have like, do you know how crazy this was? And he's in another car and I'm in a car, and he's like, look at Instagram, and I'm looking at Instagram, and I'm like, all right, this is a lot crazier because I didn't see all this shit behind me, and then I'm gonna. This is 100. This isn't like cap up. This is truly 100. What got me super excited more than the kids doing these anime jump rolls behind me. I was so fucking excited to see what's it called? Tie down being like Shadow Realm. Wait till you see them at Tie Down. And it's like that's the thing we're working up to now. Like we're working up the fucking Tie Down. We're working up to it. We're gonna fucking um I pray to God if we do good at Tie Down that we get to play a set at Edgemont at some point. like
Oh,
like Tie Down sounds great. Just put us at Edgemont and we'll have the craziest set.
brother, Edgeman. Oh, dude.
Edgemont Realm would be the fucking greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
I
you
said
can
it to
really turn that
Jimmy.
room upside down. And there's really nothing to break either, man. It's pretty safe. Like it's pretty proofed up room. It's just, just a warehouse, fucking brick walls, and they move all their equipment out of the way, and it's pretty much just like stacked up boxes around you. And that's the worst that's gonna happen. A box of shirts might fall over, but fuck it, dude. You can fit a good, I think about like 250 in there, maybe 300 now still. But yeah.
That's my goal. Tie down, no disrespect. I cannot wait to be a part of it. See everybody, play a good show. Put my ass in Edgemont. Come on, that'd be great.
We're ready for it.
So we went out after, like within a week or so after the summer. This is hardcore that we did at the Underground Arts, and we played Phoenix, and it was like outside of a boxing ring in Tucson, not Phoenix, rather, and it was 112 degrees outside,
Oh,
which was dope. All right, it's just dope. You're like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna
yeah,
go through this,
Arizona
guys.
heat's different too. It's okay. It's like,
It's still insane.
yeah.
But what happens is, um, we play in this outside area at Kingdom Box with the stage, and that's the first show where I started getting an inkling because I didn't know. We're playing East Coast. We're not there. Like I'm not sold. I'm not sold that the realm. I'm not sold on the realm yet. If I'm being honest, I'm not sold. I'm like, yeah, fast or like locally, I think we do all right. We play in Tucson, and you just have all these awesome bands that are from the different tribal reservations across the areas. And my brother Duran and my brother Max and everybody put the show on. And they were basically explaining to me like there hasn't been this many tribes of different people coming together. Period. Not like there's more tribes coming to see the Shadow Realm show than like when the tribes link up. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy. And these
Yeah.
kids mosh so fucking hard. It's like fucking insane. So my first entrance into, well, let's see what happens when we're not playing on like home territory. And it was fucking unbelievable. In fact, even we played in May up in Boston for Dead Before Dishonor's record release. And
Yeah.
that was the furthest I had played and still in what I think is like, all right, we should still do good here. And I was still nervous, but I have just basically been doing what I do, which is I'm not gonna wait for like especially stages. Some every stage is different. I'm gonna get down there and give you the mic. That so like to tie into like the sing along part because I started realizing it when when we were just doing the uh I was just reading this text from Greg because Greg's a pain in my ass.
He's
When
paying
Greg,
everyone's ass.
but what happens is I realized like, oh yeah, these kids don't see the band, and also when you were singing along, you were getting kicked in the back of your head, or like dudes were brutalizing
Oh
you.
yeah.
It was hard. it was a lot harder to get a good nice sing along going. So these
It
kids
was a
don't
violent
mosh like
sing along, yeah, for sure.
so like now it's a lot easier. And so kind of grasp onto the reality that like give these kids the fucking mic. So now I'm at the point where I'm in the crowd more often than I'm not. But it started. It was hard for me to jump on off the one stage. But in that California run where you go from Phoenix all the way up to Portland, that was like okay, cool. The West Coast gets it. You know, like we had almost all the shows were fucking well attended, and like there was one or so. I think it was a one show. It's just a different younger crowd who they didn't have the time of like they wanted like Shattered Realm, and a couple of them did, but it wasn't like in the same quantity.
Okay.
But like it's hard to measure. It's hard to measure against the Midnight Hour show that was fucking insane, and then the Bay Area show that we played in Oakland that was equally just what the fuck. And I kind of was apprehensive to see what happened with the Portland show, and then the Portland show ended up being, we had the Risk, we had the Fool's Game guys, we had enough like home team players that like that shit got completely out of control as well. And so ending my summer knowing like, okay, in the West Coast, people at least never seen us. And that's where I left it. Not like, oh, we can always go back there. Right? It was kind of like, oh man, probably should go back there for a while because that was too crazy. And then what was that thing we did? We did that thing in Oklahoma. So we had to play Nashville.
Fest?
Yeah, that's the name of Flyover. So we played Nashville. And the last time we played Nashville as a band, there was like people wearing like studded belts and teased hair and tight pants. So I wasn't walking in understanding modern Nashville, but that shit was fucking insane. And the Oklahoma set was fucking fun as hell. And a lot of younger kids, same deal, though, they'll be like, man, I really wish, blah, 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 like come back. And it's like, like, and then we do one of the most unspoken or not sung enough good things about Dunbar, West Virginia, and Tom and that venue, man. It's fucking absolutely fucking fantastic. And it's like, all right, we just did pretty damn good in West Virginia. This is a good thing, like, so where the band's at with all this stuff is that we have a decent idea that folks like us, and we do what we can, right? We're not ever gonna be able to be like a four full US tours type tour band dudes, but I think that the impact from those shows kind of taught us like, okay, these younger kids are getting it, but we still have to have the balance. And also remember in all this, everybody in Bayway, they're dedicated to just doing this shit. Like, there was a little bit of haphazard stuff that happened with the Biohazard set, with the way that some of the tour dates fell off, and Jay and I and Greg like pulled together and found Bayway enough dates that they didn't have to go back to New Jersey or whatever you want to call it and not have shows. And so like there's an inertia between Bayway, which then obviously because Bayway is Shattered Realm, feeds into us in the sense of like we're gonna fucking go get it. And it's been fucking awesome, man. It's been fucking like crazy. And then to tie us up to what's going on right now is that we got it. Shattered Realm in this whole time period never really got asked to play a show unless I needed them on my bill or we played in New Jersey. We played some cool shows, one at Salty's. We just played another set at Maggie's. We played at Maggie's and Strife in the winter, and we just played at Maggie's this year, and it was the Bayway Christmas, and it was fucking so wild.
Hell yeah, when he did all the food and shit. Did he do that? Was that the same thing where he made
Yeah, he did that, and then
that's so fucking badass.
And it was fucking crazy, and like but we've never been asked to just be on a show. So like Chris Mahmood was like, hey, I've got Terror coming through a Combust. Does Shattered Realm and Bayway want to play it? And I'm going, fuck yeah. Like we don't get asked to play random tour dates where they need to have different bands. But as a promoter, that's what I try to do is like, how do we make this show stand out from the 20 other that are going to be there? let's ask a band who's not on the tour to come through. So we got hit for that. And then we're playing with Marauder and Biohazard at the AMH,
That's
which
gonna be
is,
insane, dude.
I hope so. I hope they are. You know, like timidity in hardcore kids is very abundant, you know, or it could just be all old dudes and they don't know, they don't know us either.
But AMH, yeah, I mean it depends on who bought the pre-sale tickets first. You know, the old dudes or
Yeah.
the young dudes.
But it's just cool to be invited, not because it's like, oh yeah, this is your show. It's like, you know what work on this show? Fucking Chatter Row. I'm like, fuck yeah, brother.
And you just get to show up, man. You know, it's not you having to run around, make sure shit's, running smoothly. You
uh,
just get to show up, hang with friends, and fucking perform and
I'm
hang out
still
again.
trying to learn how to do that at times. I got better at it during Hellfest though.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Just hanging out instead of because you're wearing 1,000 hats, whenever home shows or whatever the fuck. And, like you said, not very often has Shattered Realm been out till recently. So yeah, man, it's probably cool just to learn how to tour again and just hang out.
I bought a Bucky's pillow a couple days into the tour, and I just slept in the driver's seat. Not the driver's seat, the passenger seat, rather.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, so that's the dudes got they all got nice little lay down areas in the back. And I sit up there and talk to Diego. We eat food, we talk. And then I take naps. I'm a very good napper. I'm like professional at napping.
I'm a professional napping. Hey, man, someone's got to have that job. So, with that being said, Jay, earlier you mentioned Jay had like a ton of shit already recorded here and there. Is there any timeline on any new material being released? I know there's a lot going on between Bayway and all the other shit he's doing, recording other people's shit, and that's just another thing on the list.
We don't have a timeline, but we have the onus in us, and also like the and then, but again, like it's the the same thing with the doing the Strong Hand song. Song's to our standards great, and kids now ask for covers of it, and younger kids will come up like, "Are you playing Strong Hand tonight?" I'm like, "Bro, we're still playing some of these older songs, so you young guys catch up." Like, oh man, I love that song. And I didn't know where that would sit. Like if it was like on a 7-inch, it's the B side of the two new songs, right? And it's also harder because like we don't really have an intro. Like we have the Rome intro, right in the Path of No Return, and then I never looked at the track listing, so maybe Strong Hands is on, and then it's This World Is Mine, or maybe it's flipped. I never looked. But like
This World Is Mine, I think is last. I think.
Yeah, so then that's what it is. So then it's like it's a perfect EP. Like it'd be a perfect I might actually be on a 7-inch for all I know. I don't know. But you have the intro, the Rome intro, you got that, then you got that, or that makes more sense. That'd be the B side. You hear Strong Hands, and then you hear This World Is Mine or something. But yeah, now we have the opportunity, and it's March. In a week from now, I'll be flying home from Belgium. Because we're doing the one-off in Ypres, and have not been invited. Been invited, but have not played the motherland of Europe in quite a bit. And the last time I physically played in Ypres, it was actually that might have been the last show I played in Europe until we did. Yeah, it was played in Ypres for the winter Ypres, and got to see Municipal Waste there, played with some bands. It's pretty cool. So this is like kind of weird. So it's the first European. We've been asked to do festivals. I turned one or two down. I might even dropped one of them. We were asked, especially during the summer season last year, but last year was 2020. 2024 was the last This Is Hardcore. 2025, 2024 in November, I got hurt. So 2025, there was plans to do stuff, but I couldn't stand on one of my feet, and then I couldn't stand on the other foot. So it was like a fucking nightmare. And now I had like a cognitive lapse where I was just laying in bed, depressed, and not doing what I normally do, and that fucking aged me mentally probably 10 years, just being going crazy. But it also slowed down my entire want of podcasting just because I couldn't sit with my ankles anywhere that would be comfortable under the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so kind of had that window of like, oh fuck, like they did have a Shattered Realm for the first night of Hellfest, Hellfira last year, and Chris got up there and sang with them, I believe. Unless I'm conflating that, and they didn't do Shattered Realm, and that was at the Bayway record release. I can't remember which one, but I couldn't play the Bayway record release, and I couldn't play the New Jersey Hellfest. And then I did okay at the This Is Hardcore, and we've been talking the whole time. What do we do now? Now we have the reissues. We physically have the 7 inches. We had the vinyls. Then now we have not the 7 inches, the CDs they have, and like now the stuff's out. So what if we recorded stuff and the overlap from like the reissue is there? I don't know how we time it out, but I also know Bayway's got tours, so it'll be completely maybe during or post Europe. There's one show we'll have a better idea, but we're kind of like testing the waters. Well, what makes the most sense? We have songs that they can tighten up and riff out on, and then I literally, in lieu of worrying about it, I know we have new shit. I know it'll come out. I know we're gonna play more shows, and the rest of it is kind of like in God's hand.
Well, I mean, seems like the want is there and the demand, and if the love is there, it can all be a beautiful thing at the end of going well over 20 years with the band, being a thing. Where did Shattered Realm actually start? Like the original lineup was it like 01 or 02?
Um, depending on depending on who and when, right? So like early, early on in Punishment, which Punishment we played our first show February 20, 2000. And for me, I had always recalled, but it could be a bad recollection, that we played a show early with Shattered Realm in South Philadelphia, but that could have been '01. I don't know, but somewhere between 2000 and 2001.
Yeah.
And it could be towards the end of 2000. But we played with them, and obviously like um pretty soon into the band. Yeah, you know what? It probably was '01 that they did it. Pretty soon into them playing. Like obviously, New Jersey isn't a 4-hour drive. Now there's parts of New Jersey that are hours to drive, but where those guys live are relatively close. So they were playing early Pennsylvania shows. They played a Philadelphia show at Punishment. We played a lot of shows together. And you know, again, this is like the only internet would be like message boards or AOL chat rooms and shit like that. But what happens is Eric just goes all over. Literally goes all over is the best way to put it. And by '02, they're finally traveling beyond New Jersey. And I remember talking to John Wiley about them. And then he came up there with some eulogy tour and in Club Chrome or something like that. And he said, like, what do you think about me signing them? And then he offered to put us out also on that European website or the European Alvaran. For some dumb reason, I was listening to older guys who are like Europe labels always rob people. So Shattered Realm gets on Alvaran and then released in Europe, America by Eulogy. So like the Eulogy Alvaran connection was there because Sasha would put it, and I didn't, youthful ignorance and listening to older people who were actually ignorant. I got the wrong information, and that's why very few Europeans ever got into Punishment because nothing was ever distributed ever over there. But Eric really did drive home so many shows for them. And then I recall by 2002, he's out of the band. And then they just, like There was a EP that Joe played on that was already like reissued. It was a reissued EP, and Joe was a part of that. And from the minute that, in hindsight, solely in hindsight, I say this, like Joe from the inside worked his way out of every single original member. And maybe that should have been like a harbinger, like, hey, maybe this is how this is going to work for the entirety of the band. But I helped Shattered Realm in a lot of ways, like this with like shows. I remember they would ask me for the logo for the record. That's that orange one with the font is Catino, and I use this art stuff that I'm not going to embarrass myself for knowing. But I did this cool little logo for them, and brass knuckle stuff and art, and always like talk to Eric about shows and things like that. And when they really start ripping and rolling, they eventually have to fall apart, which is kind of sad. Al was in a bunch of bands, Chris Rafalowicz, a bunch of bands. Those two still are in Blackest Dawn, and they're both. I don't know if there's I'm not privy to know if there's a band that those two weren't in together. They were roommates together, and they're the ones that said to him within 2 years of the band, like, we can't keep leaving home and coming home with no money because we have jobs. And
Right.
like that's a real life thing. But it's time. I don't know. I don't know if Shattered Realm was big enough to bring home enough money that they couldn't work, but I know that there was probably enough money where if it was run the way Bayway runs it, because Jay runs all the business stuff, it's a lot more organized. There was also, the difference too needs to be said, where if you didn't physically have money in your pockets, you physically didn't buy stuff at that point in time. I remember not having a debit card. I didn't have a debit card till forever because I was a fucking complete maniac. I would go and cash my check every week. Physically cash my check every week.
Yeah, go to the party store.
Yeah, like, well, just like in general, like I didn't have a bank. And then I was like, I realized I started having to have a bank. It's like, why do I have to have a bank? What's the point of this? This is stupid. And then they gave me the debit cards. I still probably am the Guinness Book of World Records for losing debit cards.
You lost a lot.
Dude, I'm a fucking complete mess. It's awesome.
me,
But
me too. Me too.
But yeah, to my point, now somebody has a phone they could buy something with. Or you can send someone an app. There's all these different apps. Send money to the guy who's selling the merch. So I would argue or make the argument that in the modern time, more bands sell at a higher volume because money is not physically there. It's digital, and kids have more access to make probably irresponsible decisions in buying a $35 hoodie of some sorts. So now in the modern era, that's the case. You've got kids just paying with a cell phone, Star Trek style, like giving them the beep, beep, beep. Okay, you're in, you're good. I've watched it happen and just am mesmerized. Fucking like I'm from the fucking cowboy era. Wow, this technology is incredible. But I do think that the sales of merch have definitely gone up with when you're on a high from seeing a band, you're like, I need that shirt. And then like an hour later, like, fuck, I should have got the other one.
$35 for a fucking shirt, dude.
It's so great. I saw the merch costs, and I just said, you know what, I'm saying nothing because it's just I have no idea what things cost.
Yeah,
I really don't. I have no idea what it goes into. So instead of saying this is too high, just keep my mouth shut. But if I see something that's like over 50, I'm always like, oh, like, but I'm not judging it. It's just like, as a grown man who has a decent job, I don't know if I would drop 50 on a merch item.
Yeah.
Me. But if that's what the going cost is, I guess fuck.
I buy Wrangler work shirts at Walmart for $9, dude. Like, listen, that's what I wear.
Give me all my shit gets fucked up anyway.
Yeah.
I like a thrift store. I like regular Walmart pants. I got I don't need
$18 fucking jeans, dude. It's all I need.
I have a very beautiful pair of Origin jeans by Jocko, and they're so fucking nice. But I couldn't have a entire closet full of them unless once a year for 10 years I buy them. But
Yeah.
if I go out, probably wear some Origin jeans if I can, unless my ass gets any fatter. Um, but as the quality of the Origin stuff is the only time that their hoodies are fucking phenomenal. I'm
Yeah.
not getting paid for this Origin, by the way. This is me telling you the truth. Aside from Origin, this is
American made.
all American made. Actually, like everything's fucking beautiful on it. Their jeans are great too, but the Origin jeans are like the most expensive thing I've bought clothing wise for
How much are
myself.
they? Like, how much was your pair?
Oh, I don't buy anything unless it's on Black Friday, brother. This is, I'm not that kind of
You
way.
gonna convince me?
Yeah, like I'm not sure. I see some because I have all the marketing. I think sometimes they do like a 2 for 120 thing and all that stuff.
Okay.
But I also didn't like pragmatically. Like I wear the Liberty brand overalls 90% of the year over me at work. I got a size 50 pair that I can have Under Armour or un what is that? The fucking like the different layers of pants, and then I have like sweatpants because I'm out in the cold.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, you got
And then I have like a couple. I have one
long johns.
decent. I have yeah, long johns is the word I was thinking
Yeah.
about. I have long johns. I have some different like kind of like like almost like like almost like the jujitsu level like inner layers, and then I have sweatpants. It's like old sweatpants from hotels, and the layers because I'm out in the cold a lot. That's like my favorite go-to. I also because I pour concrete, I don't really. I always want whatever layer I have on my legs. I always try to take them off because concrete can still burn you if your pants are wet and you're sweating and you don't have like a layer in between, you can still get a concrete burn. So
Yeah.
I'm very cognizant of not getting concrete burns because I'm pretty fucking good at not getting them. But I occasionally, I mean, I've gotten a couple. I've gotten some bad ones many years ago, and I would rather wear something that's light in 2 layers than a heavy layer. So
Mhm.
I never had the fucking shit. When you get concrete burn, it turns into like a wet scab. Like when your skin gets when you burn your knee and then it's like a
Yeah.
scab forever. That's what happens first. You don't get it doesn't bleed. It burns that layer of skin away like a
How do you
scrape.
get it? Like, it's not hot. It's what the material, what the concrete is, the mixture. Is that what is like
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
a
of course,
reaction? Yeah.
it's a chemical process known as the heat of hydration, which is what sheets the concrete from being like the cement paste.
Hmm.
And the cement paste is where the heat of hydration comes in. So if your body has contact with a wet surface of because you're sweating, obviously you got sweat. So you got a wet thing, it touches your skin, it's got the cement paste in the heat of hydration, and that heat is going to burn off the epidermis.
Damn.
And
Gotta be
then it
careful.
just looks like a big scrape. And I have several burn kits in my work truck. And it's not a regular occurrence for most professionals, but it's still a hazard, especially if you're working. I mean, like the worst one I ever got, I had a different pair of knee pads where the strap was behind the back of my knee. So I just thought I put it on too tight. I'm like, God, that fucking sucks. And at the end of the day, drop my overalls, and there it is, giant concrete burn.
Mm.
And I thought it was just my strap riding and like cutting in, but it was actually a burn, and it took fucking forever to heal.
Fuck.
Then I had another one on my knee that was pretty bad. Your knees and the back of your calves are usually the go-tos, and then sometimes when you're pouring walls and shit, guys are cool and they don't wipe their necks and shit. And I've seen guys get little ones on their neck or the back of their fucking head. It's just dumb. So
Sounds
I
like a
just try to
nightmare,
prevent
man.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just try
Yeah.
to prevent it.
Fucking prevent it. Hey, you know what else is fucking huge news these days? Blood for blood. What the
Hell yeah.
fuck? That shit
And it was
totally.
inevitable. It was
Yeah,
inevitable.
yeah, the demand and Rob.
every single member of the band. This is like what's the team whatever sports team has only all-stars, this is what that is.
It's wild to see, and it's also very exciting, man, because like
Well,
I wasn't there for it. I've never seen Blood for Blood. I've seen Ramallah like twice, and he always did a couple Blood for Blood songs, and then he did the one thing in 2017 or whatever. And This Is Hardcore,
Yeah.
man, dude. I'm fucking pumped to see this lineup. Seeing them at For the Children do just a few songs, and then for them to actually have a whole set together with all the bangers, man. I'm really excited. I'm sure you have a lot better input than I do, so that's why I brought it up. I'd like to hear how you feel about the whole current lineup and the future of the band.
I mean, this is the this is like one of those. I'm trying to frame this in the right way. So the band itself could have and should have been a generational band that released records and just conquered the punk world, the hardcore world, etc. Much like the Dropkick Murphys did and such. But the people in the band, the environment around the band, um, they were on the tail end of the good Victory period and then the end of Victory period. And for whatever reasons, even up until like the Hellfest, the 2004 Hellfest in New Jersey, they were still seen as like this could be like they could rival Hatebreed, and they could rival Hatebreed at the time. You know, Total also a band that was both within the hardcore scene, in ubiquitous in it, but not everybody saw them because they weren't like touring as much as an Earth Crisis, as a Hatebreed, as a Madball, you know, VODs and such. But the quality and the fan base is more rabid. And over the years, you know, different versions, different shows they would play, but it seems like it sped up so fast. And then one day it was like, boom, uh, all the shit came out with Buddha, and it really poisoned the well a bit. And you know, it just seemed like it was never really going to happen because of these things that were around what was going on with Buddha. But everybody still wanted it, you know, and that's why Ramallah would play, and they would throw those things in, and there were special sets, and but then like the social medias were rabid for them because they weren't playing. And then there's a whole group of humans now who have never really seen the band, and they still have all these tattoos, and they like, you know, have all this like super fandom from it because it's like an unseen thing. I had seen them a bunch, different versions of them, but early on, like yeah, they were like one of them bands, man, and they grind it. They grind it for a long time, and to get the band Blood for Blood to play was legally impossible for the sake of the fact that the way that the band worked is that they do the same thing that a lot of bands do. They incorporate or whatever the business term is, and they lock in who has what rights, who doesn't, who has a say, so someone can't just steal the band. And no one could get an actual like sanctioned Blood for Blood set together. I chased it a bunch of times. So, and I'd heard all throughout the COVID and post COVID, like the different, man, I was lucky to be hip to the Pete stuff that he was involved, and they still couldn't make it happen. And so now to see a sold out show in every major East Coast, Northeast Coast city with Blood for Blood, with Skinhead, you know, is just, it's surreal and very exciting. And every dude in the band is a Hall of Famer, you know, like Pete Morrissey. I mean, dude, like if there was a guy who was perfectly framed to be in that style band from all the bands he's been in, you know, and then on the cusp of a new 100 Demons record that's probably going to be the best 100. Like this is like a year that is just going to be the year of Pete Morrissey again, which is great because he's one of the great heroes of American punk rock, American oi, American hardcore, and to see him in all of this is fucking just phenomenal. And then Jamie Pushbutton, you know, like it's crazy. So many people later in their lives because of the accomplishments or their skills, or the word fame of their skills, are getting to be in these amazing situations. But probably one of the best New England hardcore drummers, hardcore metalcore, whatever that stuff you want to, whatever cores you want to attach to him. And it's great to see him get there. It's great to see him, like I got on stage injured at the 2024 FYA, and I couldn't even see who was playing drums. But the minute they started the set Death Threat, I knew it was push button. I'm going, they got fucking Jamie on drums. Like, they don't have the other guy. They got fucking Jamie on drums. And he's significantly a signature player, and you can hear it. I'm not a great musician, but I know one when I hear one, and I know the difference between different Death Threat drummers. And I was like, oh fuck, they got push button. This is going to be even fucking. This is going to be a great set because he's phenomenal. He makes everything that he plays on great. And then everybody in the band is a fucking machine, man. Like Rob's in a very good mental place. He's got great people around him. He finally has the thing that he wanted, which was just to be able to do Blood for Blood. Ian doesn't
play
have
guitar mostly.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
to do the band,
Yeah.
to do the band, to be Blood, to be able to not have to call it some form of Ramallah or hint that there'll be Blood for Blood songs, to openly say this is fucking Blood for Blood, and
Awesome.
Commend Ian for always trying to stay in the mix and try to. Ian was really like one of them guys who saw that if they try to do Blood for Blood in any kind of like legal way, it could be a complete hazard. And he had a lot of things against him because everybody kept going to him. What about this? What about that? And really just wanted to shoot movies and he always wanted to do Blood for Blood, but the difficulty in getting that, and I think it really does come to some like celestial alignment of all the different guys. And then I don't know how well you know Justin, who's the other guitar player.
He's like the world's strongest man guy.
Yeah, like legitimately. Like
Yeah.
a He-Man character. Like straight up, he's a He-Man character.
That's insane.
Phenomenal.
I don't know him at all, but
Phenomenal.
He's on other bands too, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But in a bunch of bands, like another
yeah, shit like
yeah,
that.
like I mean, like yeah, like he just is an abnormally dedicated human, and it takes a lot to do that. I don't understand because I just pour concrete and I just do my thing, but like there's books about high performance, high driven people, and I think that he is absolutely a highly driven individual. And I actually like the idea. I really do like the idea of a 2-guitar Blood for Blood. It gives it more sound in a modern period. Like I think it's a fucking absolutely fucking tremendous. I love the whole thing, man. And getting to do I mean, they're all sold out, but like Philly is the first show on the Thursday. And for me, that's like just fucking awesome because I spent several stressful. I probably spent let's say at max, maybe one physical week of my life over the last let's go with 27 years trying to get an actual Blood for Blood shit and not just the Ramallah stuff. We've locked in stuff. I used to call the original drummer Mike Mahoney at the time, who was like one of the guys who was like in charge of doing the bookings as far back as like 1997 to get them. They were supposed to play in my neighborhood through, I don't even know how the fuck the dude booked the show, but he booked them. But then you can't do shows in our neighborhood. I knew the whole shit was going to fall apart, and the show fell apart. And
Yeah.
Blood for Blood's played more in Pennsylvania than they have played in a lot of places, but they've only played one real Philly show as Blood for Blood. So this is like, this is probably 27 years, maybe 28 years since Blood for Blood has actually played Philadelphia. And,
Wow.
they did play a lot of places. CC's Pittsburgh, they played Phoenixville, and they played a lot of Allentowns. They played a lot of places, but Philadelphia is just like, it's awesome, especially at the room that we have it in. It's Underground Arts, no barrier. Shit sold out. Um, CMI is going to do a second set after the show at Bonks at night.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I got to drop the flyer tomorrow and all that.
Holy
But like,
fuck!
yeah,
That's
but like,
perfect.
yeah, like there's going to be a late night after you're done seeing Blood for Blood and come
I'm
over.
coming to that. I'll be there.
Yeah, it's going to be it's fucking fantastic, and it's in not ever to the same extent, but like 100 Demons has new shit, like, and a record that is going to stand the same, I believe, the same test of time that the second LP did. Like that the reissue or when they released that on Death Wish, that was just a different period, man, and that was just a different Demons, and to see them doing another one, it's amazing. Truly is fucking just absolutely amazing. And
I'm excited to hear it. I can't wait till they fucking drop it.
take the last record and just times it by 10. It's
I'm cool with
you
that,
know
man. I
I
love
think
Pete's voice. I love when he sings, when he's not yelling, dude. That shit. It, I don't know, something about it, man. And I don't listen to many bands that like sing. There's a singing, but he is. I know he's a trained fucking opera vocalist for the most part. As far as he explained to me, like he definitely utilizes his training, and that's what even I think he adds to Blood for Blood is you hear him, with his highs and lows. The shit they're in there, and I'm sure Rob appreciates it too because he's got a hell of a voice, so it works together for me.
I mean, yeah, it's just it really is an all-star team. Every time a band has like, I mean, I've said it forever that Terror is the Avengers. Every time a guy doesn't play in that band, they just pick the next guy to be the next Avenger. And I think that's the only way a lot of bands work. Like a lot of bands 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, they exist because other players can come in and add or, stay on the same foundation with what the band has. So it's like you see this in Blood for Blood. You see it in 100 Demons, and to a way lesser extent, Shadow Realm because of Bayway. You have the members in the bands. It's got to have the right formula, and this is truly like a year for Pete Morrissey, man. Like seriously, just like everything's fucking killing it. And again, I mean, we're in 2026, and I remember, I think I was probably just going off of like just the top of my head here. This is probably 30 years now of me being like completely obsessed with hardcore music. Um, Next year will be 30 years of me booking my first show. This is the first year. This is hardcore will be 20 years this year. But like so many bands, so many fucking bands just don't have the longevity. And people like them. People want to see them again. But the fan base isn't there outside of their home areas in the same way Demons and Blood for Blood is. I mean that. Like there's a worldwide excitement in the hardcore scene and just about wanting to see Blood for Blood and wanting to see these new 100 Demon songs and shit, man. And it's rare, like it's rare. And every band has been through we break up, we don't play, we're inactive, we're on hiatus. But like to see this come up in this way this year, it's fucking fantastic. It makes to me it's just awesome because these are some of my favorite people and some of my favorite bands. So I'm happier than a pig in shit if I'm honest. And then especially with the Hellfest that just happened, and then what the new Hellfest is going to be, and all this stuff. It's awesome to see a period in time shift because there was a minute 99 through 2009 where there was a heavily focus on bands from the modern new getting these crazy amount of flowers and ignoring some of these older bands. And now we see a return of like at the end of the day, not every band ages like a fine wine. But these Hundred Demons, these Blood for Bloods, I'm pensive on VOD. Not because I don't think that it could be that, but I don't know how much they're gonna do. I don't know how much they want to do in the hardcore space. I'm not fluent in knowing all the activities. I know if a VOD comes with the right attitude towards like this, like let's say they're playing like a hardcore show, you got to go back to and get the mentality of a Middlesex college show. You know, like throw out all the stuff we did at Ozfest and just immerse yourself in this is a fucking hardcore show. If they do that, there'll be another band that's just like wow. But bands who have had careers that go past hardcore into like the different touring things and the bigger, not that Blood for Blood, not that Demons hadn't played those bigger fests, but not at those like Ozfest S level crowds changed the perspective of hardcore people. So not not shooting on VOD, but I'm pensive to be like, fuck yeah, like this is a band that should play the church one day again, which they had played in 1997. So you know,
Yeah.
this is like the long view of stuff. You know, like there was a minute when Earth Crisis kind of like wanted to go a different route. I just saw them play Path. I hope that they stay on the Earth Crisis shit and they fucking crush it. I'd love to hear new shit from them. And the reason being is like there's a lot of younger bands who can imitate, mimic, copy an old standard, but it's always cool when you see a band come back with something like really fucking special. And I know Demons has it. I know Blood for Blood's gonna have it. And so I just hope that these older bands that are still trying to like be in the space and record and reissue and all the things they do, be mindful to be like, yo, man, like harness that shit now because there's a lot of newer bands that can just, unfortunately, young kids will go to some third-rate version, but oh, they sound just like this one record of this other band. It's like that. So it's kind of where my thoughts are at right now.
It's crazy to see it all come full circle again. Even you mentioning all those bands and people who I don't know what I was going to ask you earlier, especially about like Shattered Realm. Do you think a lot of the stuff like with the re-emergence of it and everybody putting their all in now, do you think a lot of that would have to do with like age versus like ego and shit like that, which is like kind of, there was you guys were big to everybody back, 20 years ago, but especially now with how big it has become and with people with their fucking foot on the gas with Jay Way and all that shit. Do you think that is a bigger reason why it's able to reach new heights at this time with you and I don't know. I don't know the
I'm
question.
no,
Yeah.
no. It's a
Does it
good
make
question.
sense what I'm trying to ask? Like,
A hundred
there's
percent.
a lot of failures based
I
ego and attitude versus driven to.
when when I when I stopped podcasting because I was fucking injured, I slowed down a lot of things in my head because I talked fast and I get excited in a conversation because of ADHD. I get like fucking hyperactive. So to frame it better, so I'm not talking in circles. One aspect of this is that when Shattered Realm ceased to have Eric, Chris Rafalowicz, and Al, the three completely original members, then the band had one generation gone. And this applies, I think, not completely universally, but broadly towards a lot of bands as different membership, with sole exceptions of very professional bands, i.e., the Terrors, and some of these very long older band members. Like when you see different dudes from different first generation bands end up in the Circle Jerks and things like this, that goes along the same pattern as what I'm saying. If you're not an original member, then you're either a guy who's there because he needs to perform a duty or fill in a spot. It's not not a part of like your entire existence, but you didn't have the foundation. You built upon the next level of what would be, like buildings. You're building it up, right? So you lose some foundational members, you restructure it with newer folks. The newer folks coming in are going to have the love or the respect of the band, would be the best. It'd be like the A plus, the guys, and J-Way is that. And those guys are that. They grew up on the songs. They love the songs. They know the songs. They know the sets. They can quote certain shows and what happened at certain very violent moments of different things because they were in the crowd. And so that's really good. The next thing, down after that, is there are bands who, Shadow Realm is not a part of this, but it's a bigger part, is a guy who's in the band because in lieu of having to pour concrete, work at Walmart or whatever, now he has a living. All he has to do is get in the van, perform, and maybe at some point, every band has some form of guy who they either write the song or it's a group of people who bring the songs to the table, like the Lion King thing where they just bring it out and show the new baby, like this is the new record.
Yeah.
A lot of bands work that way. Or some bands organically bring new people in and they allow them to attach themselves and add creatively. I don't have a measure of a lot of things, but I know that if you allow someone to put their mark on it, as long as the mark doesn't take away, then it's the smartest way to completely immerse the band members into the band, is to give them like some license to do what they think they can, like, at least show it off. And if it, like J-Way at the end of the day, he's not only an actual, might as well be a chef, but like he's going to allow the right flavors and the right additives and the right things in to make it the best possible scenario. So kind of touching on the same thing with like the Blood for Blood and 100 Demons thing. The best thing you can do is collect the best people, right? And then you have to put them in the right position. And then you have to let them cook. But the longer that you get away from the original intent and the longer that you get away from ideas, there's going to be not crazy differences, because at the end of the day, I think Shattered Realm quickly got their dick smacked collectively on the Dead End Blocks. And yet now, bizarrely, kids will come up like, hey, I love that track from the record. It's Fallen. And it's like, that's like a record. That's a song we've never played live. It was just a record song. Mm-hmm. And so it's weird. The rules of the universe are interesting when it comes to some stuff. The guy who wanted to infuse new life and extra into Shattered Realm actually took away from what the kids wanted collectively, and all the shit about Danny being an original member because he played bass for a song and got kicked out or something. At the end of the day, the guys in the band who were playing the Dead End Block songs were tired of the spoken lie songs because they weren't inherently attached to them. Now, that's that second generation of guys that we're in it. We're going to try to do things a little differently, blah, blah, blah. And none of that was seen. Oh, shit. Once again, none of that was exactly seen, but the impact was felt. So if you have somebody who's like 2 or 3 records down, they may not think in the way of like what original people who are fans of the band, what they really want, which is why you see so many bands who are on these forever different contracts with different labels, with few exceptions. Terror is one of the great hardcore exceptions. Maybe the Damn the Shame might have been the furthest they got away from what a Terror record is for people who love Terror. So if you want to write a record that's different, you're going to take a bigger risk than maybe not completely just having like This World Is Mine Part 2 or things like that, right? Like you can't have it can't be a complete carbon copy, but it still has to have a vibe. And it also has to have a measure of elements that add to that weren't in the first, second version. And that's a great example of like a Metallica, Kill 'Em All was dope. Ride the Lightning better to some, and Master of Puppets perfect. You know, because there's elements, but there's different elements. And then to put that in a hardcore thing is like, yeah, man, like Bruce LePage, 100 Demons, vicious, brutal, vile, violent vocals, the whole 9 yards, right? Pete gets out there, next release, and you got a guy who can sing professionally, and the playing is insane. The playing gives Pete a tapestry to weave in these lyrics and all this stuff and these parts. And the recording got better. The recording technology got better, you know? So one thing I think that really sucks is that there's so many songs that I think Rob recorded and will never have because, you know, he had fallouts with studios or people lost like the physical recordings. Like Blood for Blood in a digital age with the recording that they have is going to be something so different, but also so collectively close to it that people, unless you're really a cocksucker or a hater or just a naysayer, you're not going to see that this might be the best product as like a product in the sense of not a product to sell, but like the product of the results of these guys at the echelon of what they're capable of in a modern studio. Is
Say it louder for the motherfuckers in the back. The
seriously.
haters. the marks of the world, let me tell you.
Listen, man, I'm a naysayer of a lot of things, but it's just factual information. If you're at a point where you're in a band that goes on for a long time, unless you're like the ringleader and the band leader, you know, like you're gonna have different thoughts on everything that was before you or how you would take it if you were in charge. And I think that's one of the bigger things that I've seen over the many years of being around band people, booking shows, et cetera, we're going to call it. Where if you don't give people enough franchise, then they get disenfranchised. If you don't give them the opportunity to add, then they feel like ignored or just a jobber. And I have a lot of friends that don't care about being a jobber. I'll just show up and play, brother. That's all I got to do. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of bands from older times add new members and they bring depth and growth. And then other had bad ideas. And you never really know because at the end of the day, everything is critically challenged by the fans. So it's one fan going to think this, another one's going to do that. So you're fucked either way. You're fucked if you don't do something, you're fucked if you do something. But the best way to look at it is that as long as you have members that actually understand to some degree what the fans really like, and then what you've just done and how you can either push the levels up or at least not completely abandon. Maybe have a song or two that does abandon just for a shift change. But I would suggest in the Dead End Blocks scenario, we went further than what the people wanted because there wasn't enough time. And granted, yeah, Shattered Realm did smaller tours before I joined, and they were getting there. But I think, to my understanding of like the American situation specifically, is they weren't at the point they were when we were playing in Europe. When we did our first, they had done another European run way early on, but my first run we did it with Knuckle Dust, and that was fantastic. And then we did another one where we were the headliners, except for like in Sweden or something like that, where we were with what do you call it? Path of. They might have been called Path of No Return, or I'm just making that up. Maybe they're called Path of No Return. I don't know. It's not as important as we played with them the one time. And even then, we were infusing some of the Dead End Block songs, and they were sort of going over. But like, I think that they should have. I think that the record label wanted a new record so that way the band could tour again on the new record. But I think if Shattered Realm would have been almost everything like what we're doing now, where we're playing everything, but we haven't played The Last Straw. Apparently kids really want to hear No Mercy, which is fucking awesome because that's a Chris Collins song. And you know, like these stuff we're gonna like put in on certain shows. Like, hey, we're gonna play The Last Straw. And yeah, now we're we went from being the band played April Situation one time at Club Crobe to we play it every fucking set, it seems, unless there is a standard though. The standard is like if kids aren't going off like crazy for the bangers, you don't get April Situation.
And
You
that's a
don't
good
get
way
it.
to
You
you
don't
need
get
the
it.
participation for that song, especially.
Well, it's just you know, uh,
I want to see you do it all by yourself, Joe. Sing that part all by yourself.
the singing part's easier than the wording. The
Yeah,
timing is interesting.
you're right. It is. It's hard to follow along to that song with even reading the lyrics, but everybody seems to know it.
Chris has his own unique vocal patterns at time that lend to the way that his breath work and the way that he hears timing is different. And in that one, his the way that the words are piled upon itself and it's the rhythm that he wrote it in is difficult because it's more personalized towards him. You
Fair.
know, so it like like I don't have the growls. I don't have the way to like I'll do them extra things. I have more of a shout. And I grew up listening to death metal. Maybe if I spent like 6 months trying to growl again, but it's just I I don't get the same kinetic excitement in standing there like it's just never been, like I'm hardcore punk rock guy in a lot of ways, and that shout. And I also think like the more gargled a voice is, like or the words are kind of like so punched together, it doesn't have the same ability to be like recited or like sung along.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
like in the cadence of "This World Is Mine." This world is mine, and it's that down bum 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 bum. Like
Mhm.
that's not the same thing as the other stuff. But
Yeah,
like it's not taking away from it. It's a completely different timing. It's a different approach to the way that the lyrics in the song come out. And I went from being like 50-50 and being able to do the whole thing. And if a gun to my head, I probably will forget like one or two words. But now I'm pretty solid, which is bizarre. But I really try to, that first run I was talking about, we did to Oklahoma and all that, that was like, hey, we're doing April Situation. So the first time I've done April Situation was in fact in the very first show we played, which was in Nashville.
dang.
And I got lucky because I said, do you guys fucking know this one? And they're like, yeah, I do. I said, you better fucking know it. And I went out in the crowd with them, and these motherfuckers held it down. And I'm like, thank God. And then I got to Oklahoma, and they said they knew it, and they kind of failed a bit, but then they knew the sing part when they made up for it. And
Hell yeah.
Jay and Tito in the back try to back me up where the words I fumbled, and then we played our last show in West Virginia, where people said, yeah, but they really didn't know it all, and we probably shouldn't have played it, but we're learning. And then like in Atlanta, I didn't want to do it at all, but then we kind of figured out a way to make it work, and they didn't do terrible. The song worked out, but you got to bully people. You can't have if you're standing still for all the other songs that everyone goes off for, but you're playing the April Situation. All right, man, that's cool, but like you don't fuck with anything else. It's kind of weird.
So this is they got to do their homework for Tied Down. They got a couple months to get it together. These
Oh
motherfuckers.
shit! It tied down. I'm just gonna be in the crowd.
It's gonna be so
I'm
good.
gonna
Dude.
I'm gonna wear high vis. I'll be in the fucking crowd. So Jay said they're gonna start fucking after California. He's like, you gotta wear high vis so I can see it because I was just basically the minute a song would play, I just jump into the crowd, which is so bad. I was wearing ankle braces like the ones you get from Harbor, not Harbor Freight, Walmart, like
Oh
the
shit,
the stretchy ones around my ankles, so my ankles didn't get fucked up.
man.
So I got some time. I
Good.
got I got 2 months or so till tied down. I'll get my shit order.
Yeah. When you get the crowd, everyone who's going to Tie Down need to learn the words to the April Situation. Or
Just come up for a shot at Realm, and we'll
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah. Let's get that wall in between, the crowd and the stage, and lots of stage dives. I was amazed at like how many people, like already mentioned, but the Hellfest one, like I was like, man, look at
All
all the
right, so
people
that
just standing in front is wild.
yeah, well, I mean, so again, hardcore as a singer is fucking boring. If no one, if you're just like, and I played some barricade shows and I abhor them. I was at Pressure Fest. I made the stupid mistake of getting on top of a barricade. This is like a hockey stadium, and I'm out here climbing on top of the barricade and trying to go and do that. And I realized, and I said it on stage at the show we just played at Hellfest. Like, I understand now why these people put their feet up on the PA because they can hear them. But like, I'm not Ronnie. I said I'm not Ronnie James Dio. Like,
Yeah, I remember that.
not Ronnie James Dio. I want to be in the crowd. I want kids jumping on top of me. Like, this is a hardcore show. Like the pile on and singing along. The pile on and singing along. Name a hardcore flyer that doesn't have like. There's so many great hardcore flyers from back in the day, and those videos. Like, you know, that's us. Now, granted, the people who are going to underground shows or not big venue shows, they eventually borrowed it. We still own it, but it's why I like a band that has a singer who plays guitar. They're never going to be, to me, like the best of the best of the best. It was hard for Jeff to do it because no one's singing along.
Yeah.
Then when he started doing it on the declination period, people were singing the words because the band sees the music, the fan sees the music and the words and the parts, and that's our participation. You know, like it's the participation side. And who doesn't want to be covered? And I mean, yeah, doesn't something get kicked or licked or bitten or spit upon? Probably, but you signed up for it. You want to be in a hardcore band? That's what the shit is, man. The shit is being out there in front. And again, what fucking world do we live in? Like, you know, like what world do we live in if hardcore doesn't have singable and no one gets on stage and no one dives off things?
Yeah.
It's fucking. Right. It's fucking Metallica. It's Metallica 2000 and in the 2000s when they're playing in giant rooms and festivals to 100,000 people, and it's just banal. It's boring. It's a rock concert.
Yeah,
I'm not playing rock concerts. I'm playing hardcore shows.
Yeah, you paid for fucking $2,000 for front row, but you're still 80 feet from the fucking stage. How annoying!
Yeah. Listen, I love a metal video and I'll watch them, but I'm not Dio. I'm not Ozzy. You know, I want to get those kids, and those kids, they're fucking trying to grab it. They're excited. They're flipping on things, and it's kinetic, and it's tribal. You start feeling like kids' excitement over it, right? You got kids who are just like, oh, you know, like, and then the kids who were afraid to do it. The first couple are the ones like, I'm taking this money, but then the other ones are the jumper ons on top of it. They may not know the fucking words, but they're doing God's work because they're doing the flips. They're doing that cool shit. And I don't even care if you don't know the fucking shit. If you're doing all that extra, it just makes it cooler because then more people want to jump on.
Fuck yeah.
You know, like Kill the Man with the Football. Like, how many do you not play that?
The queer.
Yeah, that's what actually I was at. No, I mean,
fun game.
Yeah, in general,
right?
I'm 46 this July. For 4 months from now, I'll be 46. At 26 was like a good period to do some shows in Europe and such. And then until almost 10 years later, I did a couple Punishment shows here and there. Didn't touch Shadow Realm. And so 20 years later, something that I had been pushing for about 8 or 9 years finally got to, oh, we're playing at the Hellfest in West Coast. We're playing tied down in a good spot. We're playing with people's bands who formatively created the inertia for me to want to be in hardcore bands. Like, you know, Biohazard, Marauder. You know, like my first hardcore show that I saw was Biohazard in 1993. And I was a long hair. I wasn't a hardcore person. But I saw that. And that was like a formative, jarring, life-changing moment if I stayed in the game. If I just saw them, I'd be a guy like, yeah, I saw Biohazard TLA, then I saw them at the truck, and I saw them at the factory. But it was that moment when they were playing with Sick of It All. And that was just like, fuck. And the death metal in me, the metal in me was challenged by like, look how these motherfuckers are going off. And every guy's got shirts off and they've got tattoos. And you're just like, I'm a fucking 12-year-old kid, long hair, 12 years old, pussy, as I imagine, like, and I just got so connected to this. And I think that that's another part of this is like, we're at 33 years since I went to my first hardcore show. And next month, I think later this month, I think it was like March something. Um, and it still means something to me. And it means something to me because I got physically connected with it. I got to punish people like Dave Vermision, who's now passed away, and I accidentally booked his last show ever. Like you have relationships with bands as you book them where they could be awesome to you, and then one day they'll tell Paul Barrow, send you a text and say, fuck you, lose my number. And then we book them in a 100-person room in Philly and we hug and everything's great again. And, like there's so many up and downs as a promoter. There's so many things that happen in hardcore that doesn't happen to a person who buys a regular ticket at a regular rock concert. No one, the Bieber is not texting some dude being like, yo, fuck you, lose my number. Like these are the things because we get sucked into the circle, and not like the inner circle, but like the circle of people that get communicated to because you're part of the whole thing. Whether you're part of ups and downs and RC Pro-Ham style, like you go from being like very important in one sense and then less important in another, or things you've done mean less because they happened long ago, but you're still in this whole circle. So shit still matters. But the way to get the kids who maybe this is like their first year or two in, get in front of them, give them the fucking mic. And if they bobble the lyrics, give them a chance and then tap them on the head or pass it to someone else or take the mic off and give it to that person who knows the words. But them interacting, if you can't tell me that your heart doesn't race, you can't tell me standing there and you're trying to climb on top of someone just to fucking do a flip. Like, I'm too fat now. And I'm also old. Shit'll break. But like I was not always over 200 pounds. So it was a lot easier for me to do all this crazy shit or all the spin kicks and shit that I do. And, kids will be like, I saw this video of you at this show and you did this blah, blah, blah move. And I'll be like, yes, I did, son. Yes.
Being the old head.
It's so weird.
Dude, it's cool.
And I just hope that God blesses me with 20 more years so I can enjoy it more. But yeah, as a whole, man, like this stuff doesn't exist without that. So to have Shattered Realm being past the point of no one wants to dance because they don't want to get kicked in the back of the head or beat up. And then to the point where younger people, very small females, crazy dudes jumping on top of them, like all this stuff changed greatly. But it's still at the frame of it, it's still just a hardcore show. And that's like key. It's like key. Like the key to doing it is you have to frame yourself as like this is just one show. If it's bad, cool, there'll be other ones you can do better at. If it's really good, guess what? You still gotta go home tomorrow and go back to your job. Like I never once in my life said, man, if I could just make money doing hardcore things, I would never have to have it. No, I like getting up at 4 a.m. I like straight edge and concrete. I like being told things I don't want to hear about, like business decisions from oh, we're not doing this today. And I learned a lot about organizing and leading, and it lends back from hardcore shows and running the fest and organizing the fest. All this stuff compiles. All this stuff compiles in me, man. It's like all in me. And so I'm blessed with all this. And I don't ever want to leave it. I mean, at some point everyone does. But right now is an awesome time, whether Shattered Realm is active or inactive, because there's a spirit still in it from the old times of stuff that I really fucking love.
It's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And I don't know, just like hearing you talk about it and your love for it is still 100% genuine. And, the way you have always supported and booked shows and put on for bands for, what you said, 33 years, been going to shows, but going on 30 years of booking or 25 years of booking.
This is my 29th year. In fact, later this month will be 29 years of me doing shows.
Yeah. It's more
And then
headaches than fun most of the time for someone like you in this position, probably. But I hope
now
it
you bring
balances
them,
out.
you bring in, you invite the devil to the door. You gotta let him in, and you're gonna have ups, you're gonna have downs. You know, Jimmy Edgman is probably one of the coolest people on earth. And I mean that in a very sincere, not because it's a podcast, but just in real life, because he says to me he just liked what This Is Hardcore did, and he just wanted to do his own version of it. And it's the best I've ever seen. And it's to tie to because we are playing Tie Down. Um, when we had um the world really like psyched about This Hardcore, we learned via some computer thing you do, or then tells you who clicked, what locations people clicked to buy the ticket links from. We learned how many Midwesterners were traveling to Philadelphia. And I never changed booking to bring in Midwest people. So that's not what I'm about to say. What I found is that over the time from '06 to 26, Philadelphia would be a no-go if I lived anywhere but in Philadelphia. I wouldn't come here. I just wouldn't, to be honest with you. Especially in the modern Detroit hardcore scene and the modern Midwest hardcore scenes. What do we have that you guys don't? I mean, like you got Blood for Blood, you got all these things.
Yeah.
So who the fuck wants to spend $400 or $500 just on 2, 3 nights of hotels? You got to drive your car. It's going to cost a lot of money. They could fucking ticket you at any time. Shit's expensive. Or you go right down the road. You get a fucking either you go home every night or you get a cheaper hotel. You got a fucking awesome venue. Like Tied Down is, and has exceeded what This Is Hardcore could do in the sense of the way that they treat the bands and that crazy, the complex is like, it's giant. It's so big. Like the outside, not talking about the venue. The venue is fucking fantastic, but like for the bands, it's like
Yeah.
bands are like, dude, the hangs are crazy.
The whole
I
separate
like
room just for fucking bands is just nuts. It's full of
it
food,
would be it
drinks.
would be cooler. I'm not an elitist, but it would be cooler if it was less people no one knows who are like friends of someone than if it was all the band people and maybe like a couple people, because it's in all these people that no one knows of who the fuck is. Everyone's saying the same thing, either verbally or mentally. Going, who the fuck is this asshole? I
It
just say
is
it
a
out
lot
loud.
about a lot of people. It's like a red carpet. Like what the fuck? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so and I got caught up in it because I don't ever really hang in the back because I'm usually running around. But I applaud them for being and taking the reins here and being what they are for hardcore and Tied Down. And it's fucking just factual that they just absolutely outdo it. And it's like not there's not competition, because competition means that the two things are neck and neck. I'm towards the 20 years of what the fuck else am I supposed to do? Right now I booked 472 bands across all these years.
Damn, man. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Like what like I mean, yeah, there's still new bands and there's still older bands, but like at some point, we have a park, it's called Dorney Park in New Jersey. And then they have one in Pennsylvania. Yeah, when they're first there, they're like fucking the closest thing we're gonna have to fucking Disney. But one day you're just Dorney Park and you only got is blacktop and these goofy ass bike racks to keep you in, and it's hot as fuck, and there's just nothing but hoodlum shit going on, and you're just like, I didn't want to come to a park where there's just hood shit. So I spend the extra money, I go down to fucking Universal. Because at least there it's gonna be crazier. And that's what I kind of look at, like the evolution of the hardcore fest in the last 10 years. Everything was built upon what the next person could do. And then Santa Fury is in its own class of humans, because in the early stages of 1980s punk rock music, their Olympic Auditorium would have like 2 or 3 thousand people in it. So 30 years later, actually 40 years later, yeah, they're going to draw 6, 6,000, 7,000 people. Most of them may be casuals. You don't have 7,000 hardcore people traveling the fest, but there's enough people in hardcore to play them. But it's not exactly the same thing. It's completely its own thing. So Tied Down is its own thing. Sound of Fury is its own thing. United Blood is keeping it OG with what they did because that's the right thing to do. Like if it works, it works, you know. Bob has found a big capacity room to handle the extra people from FYA. You know, the Hellfest West, the combination of Nate and the SOS gang and Greg Falchetto and Josh's ideas was fucking unbelievable. Worked out perfectly. And despite Keith and Hell being upset that he doesn't have an involvement in Hellfest, you know, the next Hellfest in New Jersey is just going to be better than the last one because they've got a better venue this year. So all these things happen. Doesn't make me upset. Doesn't make me want to quit. It just makes me go, how do I fit in my lane? What can I do? How do I do it? What makes the most sense? And I continue on. You know, like I've done everything for so long continuously, with the exception of the 2 COVID years, which in hindsight, maybe just like I did last year where I did it on Underground Arts, I didn't equate Underground Arts as being viable for This Is Hardcore for 2021. I could have, plausibly should have, but did not. So we had 2 years of inactivity because of COVID. But our 20th year, I'm still going to do stuff. And I'm going to do it to my best ability. And we're going to see what lines up and what we can make happen. And I'm just going to continue on. Like, just like I have to get back to doing podcasts. I miss doing it. My ankles actually aren't hurting right now. It's such a fucking weird thing. You know, it's a weird thing. But everybody has to understand that this is sometimes RC Pro-Am, the video game where there's like a first, a second, third, and then a fourth, and the fourth one's out. And it shifts, you know, like in 5 years, FYA could find a bigger room and they could be a fucking Warped Tour size thing. Or maybe, you know, like everything ups and downs, nothing tenuous. Wrong word. There's nothing anyone can do to control the people that are interested to some degree, because even if you had the best scenario written out and you had your litmus of like how you can judge who's going to do what, it's a culture, and there's cultural shifts, and there will continue to be cultural shifts. And hardcore benefits from, imagine if hardcore was only at CBGB's, the Middle East, the Trocadero in Philadelphia, the shows in Allentown, right? Where does it go? How does it run? Who knows about it?
Yeah.
You know, like there was 3,000 people in the Olympic Auditorium for the Exploited when there wasn't 3,000 people in, you know, like in the same time frame in New York. But a couple years later, yeah, there were huge shows there. Huge, you know, the Super Bowls of hardcore and all that stuff was all that. And it shifts and it moves and it changes. And like the Milwaukee Metal Fest, Jamie's researching and doing that after years of it not being a thing. Whereas New England Metal Fest, which was like a different model of hardcore fest and metal fest, now that's taking a break. You know, like this is always flowing in the fest thing. So right now, if you're living adjacent, and that's actually how you really use the word adjacent. It means you're next to, adjacent. If you're adjacent to the borders of Michigan, your state, you have a very awesome opportunity to see one of the best hardcore fests every year there, for as long as they're able to stay at the best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Dude, nobody. When they fucking popped off with that first one, is what, the 2022, I believe, when they
they did one pre-COVID or right at COVID. They did one with Trash Talk headlining.
That was
2019.
Right, no, it was right after.
All right, yeah. COVID, I don't remember shit.
Yeah, because it was Section Hate, Trash Talk.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. It was it was cool to see it the first year, but to see what it instantly transformed into so quickly. Everybody, you know, who witnessed it from the outside that wasn't there the first year, seen the potential, and everybody just instantly gravitated towards like, holy shit, fucking Detroit had this awesome fest. We all want to participate and be a part of it, and add something to it, and you know, just see the local people alone like want to not necessarily latch on, but they want to assist and be there, help set up. And it's really cool to see everybody really do their part locally, to add whatever they can. And it's like, holy shit. And then just to see the outside come from all over the place, either from a different country, neighboring state, Philadelphia, fucking Texas, California. And then to see it happen in your own backyard is cool, because before it was here, I've never really been to any big fest. I had never been to This Is Hardcore or anything like that. So it's cool to see it at home. But then since the first year, I've traveled to many fests outside of my state and other shows to see that it's similar, but it could be a hometown bias to actually come back home to This Is Hardcore, or sorry, obviously Tied Down, and say like, man, this really is the best, and it's fucking cool. I've still never been to This Is Hardcore, but the other one.
I think that This Is Hardcore that existed is it'll be years before, if it ever goes to some semblance. We have a couple good rooms we're looking at for this year, but time shifts, like, and again, the access and the affordability has to be maintained. And access costs money, and affordability, that allows people to spend the money. And there were things towards the end of the last This Is Hardcore to Leisure Factory where it was just getting out of control financially, and a lot of the asks, as far as the financial asks from bands and agents, were based on, well, there's enough people. And that's the right argument, but there's not an equation to validate that. In theory, it's just like a guess. And I think to do a bigger fest, it's bizarre. A band will take less money if they're playing something like Warped Tour to less hardcore people, because they think that the non-hardcore people are going to latch onto the band and give them a new fan base. That's why. And so they'll do the non-hardcore fest for less because of exposure and such, and they'll overcharge on the merch because of the fees and all this stuff. And then the bands will bitch about it, and they'll do it again and again and again and again and again to chase exposure. Or if they played the small room, oh, you played the 500 person room, play the 200 person room. You played the 1,000 person room, do the 500 person room. Oh, you guys can do 1,000 or 2,000? Cool, do the 500 person room, right? Play the smaller room and blow it the fuck out. So when people see you, and it has to be the right people. I did a last Turnstile show at the church, which is their only time they played headlining. And their crowd was their crowd, but it was a shit end of the show, because some dude who said he was an EMT told me this guy's severely injured and he can't be moved. And it turns out he was just drunk. And I had to kick everybody out of the room to bring the fire department in. And it was like a bum out way to end Turnstile playing the church, because some dude who's never really been to a hardcore show was flashing around, and my options were beat the balls off of him, choke him the fuck out, or just kick everybody out, so that way when the fire department come, they don't fucking get rid of the church, because we have so many people in the room.
Right.
And so bands can grow in different ways, but if a band stays loyal to a base, and remember that if your band's out and you got thousands of new fans and you've got a manager and a booking agent, don't let them guys in charge fool you that every once in a while you're still going to touch grass and go home. You got to get to that non-barricade, non-scenario where the right people there, like I can't express that more. You could play to the same people that you've been playing for in the big rooms, but you start touching that real, like the real shit, the real hardcore kids. Good to see a band that was hard to see. Like that'll be different, because real hardcore people bring different energy.
They do.
It's one of the hardest things is figuring out how to harness it and how to project it. And sometimes bigger rooms allow for more casuals. and bigger rooms allow for a lot more expenses, and the energy is taken away. So you got to bring people back to God. It's like if you go to a mega church and you can't see the pastor, can't see the cross. It's the same thing. Like you got to get up there right up in front. And I think that that's the stuff that I see a lot of bands. They want both. They want the crazy show, but they don't want to take a pay cut, or they don't want to play the smaller room, because then it's like some business person, oh, it's a bad look. It's an underplay. Not worth it. It's like, when was it not worth it to play for your fans or the people that love your band? Or maybe a couple people get in to see you, never seen you at that level. When was that not the right idea? Now, granted, if that's all you did, then you're never going to go to whatever. There's a temporary level where everyone wants to get bigger, and everybody who wants to get bigger has to go back to the beginning. It's kind of like you go up the ladder, you go down the chute, you got to go back up the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it happen too. Yeah, you see it.
I've seen it for 30 years.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the flying too close to the sun. It's just shit happens, and I don't know. It can be
30
years.
years. 30 years ago. Yeah. 30 years ago, Biohazard was playing amazing small rooms, and those vibes were fucking immaculate. 10 years later, roughly 10 years later, they're playing bigger rooms, different shitheads, more problems. They're upset about fights. Why do you have shitheads in the room? That's the other cool thing about hardcore is right crowd, right vibes. Couple turds in the pool, now we got a problem. Like hardcore is organic in that fashion, and it means the world to have that. Like as a player, I don't want to play in front of shitheads, and I don't care if shitheads get beat up. It doesn't matter.
It's fucking awesome, man. It's good to see it all, all come down to, what we were talking about earlier, 2021, or even in 2019 versus 2026 has been a big shift, and a lot more going on, especially festival wise, where like you mentioned that how, they're so big, there's lots of big ones. And then, this is hardcore. You didn't, I'd say sort of downsize last year.
Well, I had no options. At this point, 2024, this hardcore wasn't fiscally on board, and the biggest mistake I made was not asking the venue people what the final cost at the ticket price would be. I knew what I wanted to charge. I did not focus, because I was running every year. I work at the Limerick nuclear plant, running cement masons for a shutdown where we fix concrete on the cooling tower. And I've been doing it. I've been a foreman there just for the project for quite a bit. So I do it every year, and I bring my guys up. Young Clemo and a bunch of people have now worked under me. Hardcore dudes who are cement masons have worked under me during the Limerick, and we try to get them paid a bunch of money, and it's a good time.
Hell yeah.
And so what happens is I have my time where like I'm doing my paperwork and I'm trying to fit in hardcore shit or the announced shit. And the biggest mistake I made was not understanding just how much the AXS system, which is the AEG, the Ticketmaster type AEG owns AXS. And the fees were just exorbitant. Had I asked that as my first question, how much are these tickets going to cost at the end user? I could have modified the band budget, cut down some bands total, and we could have modified it to still make it practical. I thought I had a really good lineup, and I just think that the combination of Philadelphia's hotels and the taxes and all the things that come with Philadelphia just makes it no longer worthy of a destination place for people. It's a hood city. Parking shit. What else is there to do? And I tried different ways, different times, and I just got more focused on that year. I just want to do the show the way it's been. We had the one parking lot. It was going to be dope. And I think that the overall costs of the show, alongside initially, I had to exploit it, and they did great as a headliner in 2015, but then they canceled because Wadi had a heart attack. So the booking agent um, supplanted or replaced rather, um, Black Flag instead. And I thought it was a good way of not having to last minute, because the show was already on sale. How do I get value from a headliner if I've only got X amount of weeks to promote? I can't give them a regular headlining fee because we haven't promoted them as long. And also, the biggest mistakes I've been making with that venue since 2014, which is the first year we had a loss, was that the venue does not promote the headliners. They promote This Is Hardcore to their casual crowd. So it's completely incumbent on us to promote This Is Hardcore to hardcore. But if they would just have promoted Black Flag, not This Is Hardcore, we may have got more tickets sold. It was the same problem we had for Killswitch Engage. Seriously, the same problem we had with Killswitch Engage was I didn't see it, and that was 12 years ago, that, oh, fuck, these motherfuckers have been promoting This Is Hardcore, not Killswitch Engage for the Thursday night. And these are small decisions that I have own up to, but not being really well aware of the promotion that the club does for This Is Hardcore. So it's completely on me. And I realized at 45, when I was 44 at that time, I thought it'd be a niche thing that the younger kids who always pragmatically talk about older bands and checking them out, I thought it'd be like, oh, for the younger kids, it'd be awesome to see Black Flag. And it was just fiscally not worth it as a whole for the whole thing. Just because, and again, I mean, we had the terrible rainstorm that was super fucked up. But I mean, we've had them before, so you can never control that. And so, this is upcoming fest. The vending and all that is going to be encapsulated and rain free. It's like the major change. But again, I don't expect fucking 50 people from Detroit to come to This Is Hardcore. I don't. I try to worry about tri-state and people being there because they want to see whatever show, or they like the accoutrements around what the bands are, but we can't be bells and whistles anymore. We just got to be straightforward. And fuck, I spent a lot of money on dumb shit, but I'm happy because roughly average guess, since if we don't count the first 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the first 6 years, we had a decent band budget and more of a band budget than most people had across 3 years and three shows and then the 1 4-day show. We did a lot. And I think that the minute we got to the Electric Factory band budgets and the time across all of them, we've probably paid out more than $2 million to the bands.
Fuck.
That's great. I wish I gave them more. I wish every time you put money in a band's hands, yeah, there's maybe some degenerates that are going to go out and do some cocaine and give the strippers some money, but it allows the gas tanks to be full, allows them to buy shit, do shit, and then it makes it more possible to do these things. So if a venue booker is tight with money, it's harder for the band to come out and be like, this was worth it. Like you want to treat the bands right. I've always paid the bands right. If nothing else, I paid the bands right, and it does suck when you don't hit the home run. It does suck when you barely get on base. I got on base, I didn't hit a home run. And then looking at the way that things were shaping up from 2024 down to now, obviously it's like RC Pro-Am. So you got Hellfest came back 2025. I knew that. So I was like, why the fuck am I going to do a big fest if there's going to be a New Jersey Hellfest?
Yeah. You were aware
and then I said,
going to happen.
Yeah. And again, I'm a part of the problem in some times and aware of that I was a part of the problem. So I've corrected it. And because that's how long I've been doing it. I made a mistake. I corrected a mistake. I don't want to be part of the next mistake. I got tired of the same 10 bands on every festival in 2004 and 2024 and 25. So I had a very easy situation. I'm going to do at a small room, 650 cap. We're going to have End It headline. At the time, I don't think they really headlined. They never headlined Philly at a size that big. End It in Bayway Friday night. And Shattered Realm. And I think it was Shattered Realm and On Broken Wings on the second night. We did the entire Shattered Realm Broken Ties Spoken Lies set in its entirety with Chris on stage. To people gave a fuck. But we put Risk. We put all these bands that normally don't get invited to any kind of these things. And we put on for them. And that was the initial want of doing a fest, was like, get some cool bands people want to see and be able to do a fest so people have fun. And it's funny, like, it's harder now because the implication of playing this hardcore is that it's going to be this giant thing. But it's going to go to a room about the size of the very first venue, which I think more people are going to enjoy. And it kind of leaves me fiscally with a smaller budget, but a easier chance of having fun with the show. Sales being able to like lock in enough that we're able to do it another year after this. And we're trying to do one every year at this place for quite a bit. It's going to work out like the financial details of all of it, but we're early on. And I learned that when I was announcing in April, it still worked out for when we have shows in, July or August. So I have a little bit of time still. But this thing for me, it's personally emotional when things don't work out and the stress is real and the physical stress is brutal. But this is what happens. It's like, this is your lot. Like, this is your stone to carry. Like, you chose to do this. But I worry on leaving the space and regretting it. So I'm going to give it another shot. We're going to go 20 years and we'll see where things go. I got a team around This Is Hardcore, J-Way, Greg Falchetto from Mongoloids and fucking FYA helping out with This Hardcore and, one of the heads of the Hellfest. So I got some right people with me, help me adjust the sights on things that I might be lost on. We're going to make it work. Good. And work for the people that want to see it.
Good. Yeah. You can definitely, you can pull it off, man. Whether it's smaller, it'll still be great weekend, great day.
Smaller is like bigger than what we did in 2024 or 2025 rather, but not trying to reach what we needed to get for 2024. So like we're at Underground Arts and I love them and I still do. I mean, Blood for Blood and Phillies at Underground Arts. I love the room. I have a great relationship with them, but sometimes when you're working for a AEG or Live Nation, the rooms are just costly. And depending on the things, it doesn't add up enough to make it make sense to do it there. And I also want to go back. 2026 versus our first one in 2006. We're back in an independent room. And actually we're a couple hundred bigger than the original room, but the people who went to the first couple will see some of this feels closer to what it was the first couple years.
It's fucking awesome. Is it a weekend or just a day this year coming up? You doing a few days for your fest?
If I do it, it'll be a Saturday and maybe a Saturday, Sunday. It will not be a Friday. Okay. Friday will be something else of some sorts. Is the best way to put it. Some sorts.
Yeah.
Or I do a small Friday and a full-time Saturday. I got to see what the availability is as far as what we can bring in to make it fiscally sound. We're still dealing with club financials to make sure we all look at math and go, this math is mathin'. And then once the maths, then we do it.
Hell yeah.
And the key here is that don't start something or don't finish it or don't quit. Like I started it with Sean Agnew, one of the greatest independent promoters of all time and a champion in my life. Actually went to court as a cognizant person to be speak to the goodness of me to a judge and he's still probably one of the unsung heroes of underground music. And we started it together. And then he was kind of like, I've got enough going on, with everything in the club that he's got and shit. And he's just like a fantastic, crazy individual in his own way. And then it was like kind of left completely on me. And then later on, that have input from Bob and Greg. And then more seriously, Greg is going to come in to help This Is Hardcore because he has, from the time he wakes up till the time he closes his eyes, nothing but the music world in his mind. And so, where I can pour concrete and check in with these guys, he can just do this shit 100%. And he's good at it. He's good at it. So, I've been saying it forever. And I said, once I get past, because I didn't tell Bob or Greg about the lineup last year. And I go, why? We'd have helped you. I said, I just want to do one on my own. Just want to do it my way. And it worked out. Show happened. People liked it. Wasn't the world's greatest thing. No one was like, this is so fucking stupid. Joe's an asshole. No one threw a rotten tomato or chased me down the street like in the old movies. But I think people want a little bit more out of the This Is Hardcore, so we're giving it to them.
Hell yeah. Cool, man. I'm excited to see what you got lined up, what you got in store.
Sure, I'm excited to see what we pull out of our ass.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
hey, like,
well, with all these, some people would say it's the fest era is saturated around the country, but
it is. It's oversaturated.
Yeah.
But in the same regard, at the same time, it's still a valuable tool for getting newer bands out there.
Mm-hmm.
If they are not, something they call them industry plants, is like in the big industry plants. There's industry plants in hardcore. There always has been. And, there's a lot of bands that shouldn't be on some of these bills, but are because they would not be on the bill unless so-and-so owed a favor. It's like, they all share in these, like, you owe me and I owe yous, like, and Greg's one of those cocksuckers. I always laugh at him about it because he's a part of that whole shim-shamming. But organically, if you're looking at bands that really draw or things that you also like, I'd rather lose on a band I like than a band I didn't like. I gotta lose. I'm like, fuck, fucking jerk offs. I don't even like them. Literally, I mean, it's like buying a $50 steak that tastes like shit versus like, oh, I love this fucking thing. It's a difference.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's an inorganic amount of bands shoved on fest in the side because there are multiple people who are professional managers, professional booking agents that if they could get out of the hardcore space, as they call it, they would do it tomorrow. Or they're in two worlds. They have smaller bands that are still stuck in the small rooms. They call that like more of like a independent hardcore thing. And then they have the guys in the big rooms and they still plot their small bands in our rooms. And that takes away from regional bands that are big, bands that would be able to drive out and play and whoop some ass, And so we're still dealing with the time when I didn't have to deal with as much. There wasn't that many people from outside of hardcore asking to play This Is Hardcore, where there's thankfully I don't, because This Is Hardcore looks like the fat smelly kid in the room now. I don't get asked to play, to book some of them bands, but at the same time, I never enjoyed it because I was like, well, what does that do for hardcore? You guys are here for 2 years and then you go somewhere bigger and then, you laud that you guys were a part of the scene. What part of the scene where your booking agent called another guy and said, hey, if you want me to let you book my other band, you should put this band on your thing. The tit for tat, the fucking poker chip stuff. So it's a prominent part of why some fests do okay, but there's a whole thing to it. I think if a band's really worth their salt, get in a fucking van, go play shows, stand in the crowd, not on the stage, get kicked in your face, let someone lick your ear by accident because they're getting stage dove on, and fucking do the work.
Yeah, man. You see a lot of people that are exactly what you described without going into it, but yeah, there's always those kind of people, man. But look, we're at 2.5 hours at this point, Joseph.
Yeah, and I talk.
No, you're good. And I was hoping for the exact thing. I like to listen to you talk. I've listened to every one of your podcasts. You've been doing this shit a long time, and you have a lot of wisdom and opinions that I think a lot of people with any sort of common sense would agree with, especially, with hardcore. And then not just the whole booking side, but everything in general that we talked about. And having the right people in your corner to help push whatever you're pushing or elevate whatever you're trying to elevate, man. And you've been through it all. You've seen it all. Just lots of people are running because you walked and standing on your shoulders with regards to the festivals all
I
around.
love it. And all you can ever ask for is someone to take something that you did and make it better. Because
Yeah,
then you know that the thing that you created, and I didn't create shit. I just said, oh, this looks like this thing. This looks like, like there was stuff that we would as kids call normalized, and the way that some of the things that we set for like to be a standard of sorts. But when it comes down to it, you know, that's why Exploited and Black Flag and Agnostic Front and Negative Approach and all these older bands, they should still get love from people because it's like without them, who did it? Circle Jerks, like all these people that did other stuff. And punishment, I mean, not punishment. This hardcore isn't the Agnostic Front of best or anything like that, but like there's always things in hardcore that people expand on because they heard it somewhere else first.
yeah. Well, you definitely brought the fest culture to the United States as far, you know, as I'm concerned or aware. I don't know how much more there. Well, you mentioned Hellfest before and you posse numbers and all that shit, but you you filled that void. Once that came
I'd like to say that I industrialized it.
okay. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, we industrialized it.
Industrialized. You made it
To,
mainstream.
yeah, yeah, like we made it easier, and the platform was there,
Yeah.
and we built off other people's shit, so it's all circular,
Yeah.
you know.
So it's good to recognize that people took, what you and others have, kept going and either made it better or just fucking kept it going. And, and I moved it to different parts of the country for accessibility and affordability, like you mentioned, for everybody else who can't fucking stay in Philly because of the bullshit fucking taxes and prices on everything.
Yeah, it's not. I don't understand. I wouldn't understand it if someone was like, "Did this hotels are cheap." It's like I don't even fuck with hotels for bands anymore because it's gotten so out of control.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is a broke city, and they treat everybody like they need to take every dollar from everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
And God willing, in a year or so, I will not live in the physical city limits.
good. Yeah, man, it's hard. We can go into another hour of that fucking
I know.
bullshit. But
Yeah, listen, thank you for having me on again, and I look forward to hanging out with you at the Blood for Blood shows.
yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun. We gotta fucking figure something out if there's time, get some food or something.
I never eat before shit.
All right. Well,
I eat like a hot dog at my house and then be out all night.
we'll
I'll
figure.
get up
Oh,
and mine's a Thursday, so I'll still have work Friday.
yeah. Well, look, I forgot to mention this. We were talking about your boy fucking Marks earlier. I told him we are gonna talk some shit about him. You're telling me how much of a retard he was, and I just wanted to be recorded when we said how much of a retard he actually is.
I don't even know how you would have a. How long was the conversation with him?
Dude, I met him. It's going to take a minute. I met him at the fucking B&B Bowl 2023. He was sitting
Did he have
on.
a shirt on?
He had a shirt on. He's fucking smoking a stinky fucking Newport with his yellow socks that he fucking wears. And, just yes, he had a shirt on. But he takes his shirt off a lot, as far as I'm aware, is what it seems. His stupid fucking hair.
So, in a very weird way, he's not a poster boy because a poster boy is like he's the anti-hero of Philadelphia, like real Philadelphia. Like he is 100% what cousins and uncles and real neighborhood Philly dudes have the DNA in. Do we all achieve the level of just neighborhood shithead that he has created for himself? No, and no. But at the same time, if any part of Philadelphia is like in anybody, it's in him. Like I wonder where I would love. There was this there was a TV show where one of the guys who's like really famous, the British comedian guy who like does all the Grammys and shit, makes fun of all the rich people, and he sent his very normal best friend to like India and stuff as like a normal British dude. And it was one of the funniest TV, like small British TV shows ever. And if I ever had the opportunity to waste money, I would send Marks to places where they're not aware that he's from Philadelphia, because the minute you look at him, you're like, oh, this dude's from fucking Philly. And he drives me nuts sometimes, but he actually in his stupidity is a really good person. But he's like he's built like the Philly fanatic, which is hilarious. He's got like the giant stomach and he's crazy hairy. But like at the end of it, I what can you do without Marks, man? Like he's just so fucking he's so Philadelphia. I just yeah, like we're stuck with him. You know, we're stuck with him.
Well, he's one of the best guys I know. Like I said, I met him at the B&B
I
bar.
really hope you find new friends then if he's up there in the best.
He's so funny.
Please.
He's like the biggest.
I'll introduce you to people,
talker.
please. Nah, he can't talk shit. He's so slurry. He tries to talk shit, but his brain doesn't. His brain's like a week behind.
Look, okay, so it might be more pathetic than I thought, but he is the guy that I talk to out of my regular day. I talk to him more than anybody, and he just fucking keeps me laughing. He says the craziest shit. He is the craziest person, and he is his fucking his accent and everything about him, his Delco accent. Like, bro,
Dude,
or is
it's
that
just
Philly? I say Delco. I say it's like fucking Bam Margera, but fucking dumber.
there's a quasiness that the O's and Delco go a little bit different, but they're not too far off from Philly.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm like, dog, your accent is absolutely insane. And but other than that, I just want to make sure him and Cheddar Breed get a shout out because that's the silliest shit ever. Cheddar Breed.
Dude, they're just retarded. It's just like a whole. If there's ever going to be like a mark where it's like, oh yeah, this is when we let real Philly dudes make retarded bands in Philadelphia.
So that's it. That's what happens when you give him a microphone.
Yeah, the IQ points just get sucked out of the room.
Hope to see them headlining This Is Hardcore pre-show.
Fucking amazing. I literally would throw actual rotten fruit at him if we did that. I would rot fruit in my backyard and then huck it at him for that. Guaranteed.
But I had to make sure he got the special shout out by us because
nah,
he's awesome. A special, literally special ed. Well, at least he got out of Sam's Club. He works for Amazon now, he said. So he's not collecting carts. He's fucking pushing crazy packages. So good for him.
Well, dude, thank you for having me once again. It's been a while since we talked. And actually, I'm getting the vibes here. I'm getting the I need to do a podcast vibe. So this means a lot to me. It kind of got me. You got me out of bed and off my ass, so my ankles don't hurt, and I actually feel cognitively okay. So it makes me feel good.
I'm glad we had the conversation, and I hope.
Yeah, I haven't had it.
No,
I did. I definitely did, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, brother.
Later.
See ya.